2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
It's 4th and 11. Purdy is under center. He takes the snap. He backpedals a step. Zero's on the clock. It's over. The sideline's empty. With the comeback for the ages, the 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl and ripping the heart out of the Lions.
Who else? Kevin Harlan on Westwood One. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you are criticizing Dan Campbell for his part in what happened yesterday, Perloff, you're completely off the mark. Now, is any coach perfect? No. And there are things to criticize about Dan Campbell, and we will get into that. But this San Francisco comeback, and congratulations, San Francisco. Of course, we'll talk about the Chiefs in just a little bit. But if you're criticizing Dan Campbell for going for it on 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, you have not been paying attention to Lions football since he took over this woebegone franchise.
You don't think I was paying attention when his idiotic 4th down calls cost them the game against the Cowboys and knocked the Eagles out of the division title?
Oh, this is personal for you.
This is personal. Dude, grow up. Stop making these 4th down calls. It's not a Madden game. This is an NFL playoff game. How can you defend Dan Campbell?
I can defend Dan Campbell because they were a 12-win team and a team that got to where they've got to based on this philosophy. To abandon it at this time would have been the ultimate just boneheaded move. It would have been the ultimate, you don't have an identity. If you say you have an identity and going for it on these 4th and shorts, which is not at the 25, by the way, he's doing this in plus territory. If he decided to abandon that philosophy now, he would look like a fraud. Now, it won them a lot of games. I cannot say that those 4th downs cost him yesterday. The fact that his players could not make a play on those 4th and shorts, that's what cost the Lions. Not the decision to go for it. It was the lack of execution. It was the Josh Reynolds drop. It was the fact that Jared Goff cannot be a quarterback in the NFL if he has to move 5 feet in one direction or the next. Jared Goff has to be able to throw the ball on the run. He's got to be able to make a play when things break down. he couldn't do that. Josh Reynolds had a terrible drop on the other fourth down. How is that Dan Campbell's fault?
Well, first of all, I think the first one you're referring to, Goff kind of hit Reynolds. That was both of them were on Reynolds to me. But I think Dan Campbell had to understand that his team was getting emotionally tight. Like the analytics on both those key fourth downs that they went for it were both dead even. And the analytics kind of veer towards going for it anyway. And even the analytics were not strongly to go for it. But didn't you understand, and didn't he understand, this team, there was a mental aspect, some emotional sensitivity. They had a 17-point lead and got nervous. I think you got to support your team and go for the points. Honestly, and obviously going for a fourth down and failing gave the Niners all the momentum. Now, I'm the analytic dork on the show, but you have to understand the flow of the game in those situations. Okay. That's exactly what cost the Lions this game. Was that Dan Campbell had no awareness of what was actually happening on the field.
Okay, let's take those one at a time. Number one, you say that coming up short on a fourth down could be the biggest momentum changer. You want to know what else changes momentum? Missing field goals. These were not gimme field goals. These were 40-plus yard field goals outside. Now, I think Badgley is a fine kicker. He's good, but you are also have a momentum swing if you miss a field goal. And people say, oh, Dan Campbell, analytics guy, nerd guy, whatever. He's putting the ball in the playmakers' hands. He's putting the ball in the offense's hands, who they've been one of the biggest and most prolific offenses in the NFL this season. How can you argue with that? That is the most football guy move ever. That's not the nerd move. That's the guy who trusts his 11 men on the offense to make a play, not leaving it up to the kicker.
Eeks. No, I think the better team in this game last night, I think the Niners are a better team overall, but last night the Lions blew that game, and Dan Campbell blew that game. And you know what? He was working on blowing this game in the regular season, too. He had sort of laid the
breadcrumbs.
Yes, that I am not going to understand. I mean, San Francisco knew this. The Lions were clearly, like, when it was 4th and 2, they got tight in those situations. Of course they did, because they're like, what are we doing here? This is, I understand, like, he has a history of going forward, and that's who they are and their identity. And if he didn't do it, they'd be a fraud. But come on, you had to know. Everyone in the building knew they weren't going to convert those fourth downs because there was just too much at stake there. And they're a young team. They were not ready for that kind of pressure. I mean, I think all of America saw it unfolding exactly as it did. Fourth down, they're going for it. Oh, this is going to be bad. That was my hunch. And I think a lot of people were rooting for the Lions because of the underdog. Not that anyone has a problem with San Francisco, but I felt like kind of America's team Dan Campbell let them down a little bit. Everyone was pulling for the Lions to have this incredible Cinderella story because they've never been there. I think you have to understand the moment and maybe just do the safe thing.
Let's hear from Dan Campbell defending the fourth down decisions.
I just felt really good about us converting and getting our momentum and not letting them play long ball. They were bleeding the clock out. That's what they do. And I wanted to get the upper hand back, and it's easy hindsight, and I get it,
Yeah, and he's going to get it that he's going to get criticized, but he said, put that on me. This is the same guy who earlier in the year said, if you want to watch our team, you better get a pair of diapers because we are going to make you uncomfortable with how aggressive they're going to be. Also, Dan Campbell getting very honest about the Lions and whether this could have been their best shot.
Look, I told those guys, this may have been our only shot. Do I think that? No. Do I believe that? No. However, I know how hard it is to get here. I'm well aware. And it's going to be twice as hard to get back to this point next year than it was this year. That's the reality.
Yeah, so maybe laying a foundation for what the off-season motivation is going to be like for the Lions, but he's got a point. This is not going to be easy for them to get back.
Well, I think they have the talent to get back. They just have a weakness at coaching. We know. Honestly, obviously we killed them on draft night for going Jahmyr Gibbs and a linebacker, and it worked out great. So their GM is on an absolute heater. They have talent everywhere. Obviously, they're talented enough and young enough to get back here, but he's got to grow up as a coach. Otherwise, this is not going to happen.
Okay, but you realize they don't get here without that aggressive mindset.
I totally disagree with that. They're a good enough team, and they're in a weak division this year. They easily could have gotten here. The aggressive mindset didn't do anything to get them here. I mean, in the playoffs. And the aggressive mindset certainly cost them the game last night. So I don't believe this. We have to go for it on fourth down all the time to be here because the aggressive mindset is exactly what blew up on them. It's actually, they're a really good football team. Stop with these tricks and these, they don't have to do something special to win this game. They could have won that game on the football field, and they chose not to.
Listen, I thought that they were being sort of, I don't want to say conservative when they did kick the field goal to go up 24-7. They probably could have gone for it there. That was a 17-play drive to close out the first half.
But there's no reason to go for it at the 1 yard line, because one of the reasons you go for it down there is because if you miss it, you pin them at the 1 yard line. Right. It was halftime. There's no reason to pin them at the 1 yard line. You had to take the points there too.
So the one thing and we'll get to the San Francisco side of this in a moment, is they are the winners 34-31, the third largest comeback, tied for the third largest comeback in the history of the NFC Championship game. The one place where Dan Campbell loses me, not the fourth down decisions. Again, I totally understand those. Your players got to make a play. But when you are now you're furiously trying to make a comeback at the end of the game, and you are driving and you're down 10 points. And so you need a touchdown and you need a field goal. You are moving the ball effortlessly, getting the ball down to the goal line. You want to keep all three of your timeouts. It's crucial. You have about a minute and a half left. Third and goal, why do you run the football there? On any level of football, high school, college, pro, I do not understand how anyone could call a run play in that moment. What happened? Run play gets stuffed. You've got to use one of your timeouts, and then you have to go for one of the lowest percentage plays in the sport, which is trying to recover an onside kick.
I totally agree with you. That was an idiotic call. But, I mean, the win probability was quite low at that point. Even if they had thrown it in, San Francisco had a large edge because they were going to run three plays and punt the ball. The Lions would have had to come down and score. And we don't know that a pass play. First of all, I can't believe that run play didn't work, because I was actually watching. I'm like, wow, if they run it, they can run it right through the line. And then San Francisco stood up. We all did you feel they were going to run it there? I kind of had a vibe, and I think San Francisco did. Like, okay, the passes aren't working. I couldn't believe they hit it on fourth down, too. That was a squeaker. The game could have been over right there. But regardless, you're right. But it's consistent with Dan Campbell made decisions that hurt his team. I mean, honestly, I think the timeouts fall right in line with that run play. I don't think they're two separate animals.
Oh, I see it as two different. I think the goal line was unforgivable, but the fourth down decision, that's who they are. And, you could say, well, Maggie, it's a bigger game. It's just, they did convert on a fourth down. Like, they were 1 for 3 in that area. I think you don't abandon who you are at that time. I think it's more on the players to make a play. The play call wasn't bad. The execution was awful. So put that on Dan Campbell. He'll take it, and he's going to have to live with it. But that was more on the Lions players.
Yeah, I mean, I think you upgraded Reynolds. Obviously, he's not a big game player. He actually looks really good a lot of the time, but I'm not surprised he's the one who let them down. They have such an amazing young core here. You got Laporta, Gibbs, and Jack Campbell in this draft. This could be, God, I'm going to say it, this could be a 90s Cowboys triplets kind of thing. Like, they could easily be back. Dan Campbell has to mature as a coach and get rid of this identity and all that. I don't want to hear any of that. Go out and win the football game with a 17-point lead.
I think that's what he was trying to do, obviously. But again, it's a 49er comeback that's unbelievable. And we got to get into the 49ers side of this, and let's just do it right here, because this was unreal.
Are you going to recast your MVP vote for Mr. Brock Purdy?
Absolutely not. Now, I got to give credit where it's due. Purdy had some unbelievable scrambles in this game. He really did. I mean, people who say game manager, that's not what I've ever said. System quarterback, definitely. Game manager, no, because the way he was able to improvise, use his legs, pick up first downs with his legs in the second half was masterful. I mean, that was winning football that Brock Purdy was playing. But please.
Why a but?
Here's the but. Because anyone watching that game, Perloff, what was the turning point, if you could distill it down to one play for the 49ers?
Oh.
What was the turning point?
When it hit the Lions defender in the helmet and landed in Brandon Ayuk's
Let's
hands.
just call it the Brandon Ayuk game. It was that catch that actually could have been an interception and probably should have been thrown by Purdy that turns into an all-time play by Brandon Ayuk to set them up at the goal line. They punch it in, then they throw it to Ayuk for the touchdown to finish it off. And then on the very first play on the next drive for the Lions, what happened? Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. set the 49ers up basically in the red zone at the 24-yard line, and that was the anatomy of the comeback. Listen, this was a great Purdy game. Second half, okay, I want to say great Purdy game. The second half, he came alive by using his legs. This game turned on Brandon Ayuk making an all-time play. So let's not let that be forgotten here when we retell the story of this game.
Well, he threw a 50-yard, 50-50 ball. It was not an easy play for the defender to pick that off.
It was in his hands.
But it was
his hands.
It's one of those bombs, kind of like the ball that Stephon Diggs dropped in the Bills game. It's not easy to haul in a 50-yard pass, and obviously Purdy, that's clearly the farthest he could throw the ball. That is quite obvious.
It's not far enough.
I just think this is the story of this year. He relied on his talented receivers. I mean, that's what these Niners quarterbacks under Kyle Shanahan have done. They have great weapons around them. Listen, I'm not saying Brock Purdy is Patrick Mahomes, but I think you've got to give him a lot of credit for his poise in the second half. I'll even say it. He reminded me so much of Montana there at the end. He just looks like Montana. He's small like Montana. I just thought at the end of the game, 2 games in a row, he's had a lot of poise in the fourth quarter.
Well, I mean, I think this one was probably a little bit more impressive even than the Packers one, although the Packers one was in the rain. He had to put together a great final drive, but I thought he played awful in that game overall. This one, he had an awful first half where obviously he throws the pick that leads to a touchdown for the Detroit Lions. I mean, everything was going wrong for Purdy.
That was tipped. I'm not really going to put that 100% on him. He threw the ball and immediately a Lions. It was a bad first half, but I thought the first half was the Lions were possessing the ball. Yep. It felt like the Niners didn't even have a chance. Purdy didn't even have a chance to have a bad half. I give him a lot of credit. He just seemed not afraid of that moment at all in the fourth quarter. He's one of those quarterbacks, and I'm just like an Eli Manning and maybe a little bit of Brady. I don't want to use the name Tom Brady, who just where the moment did not get too big. And you saw that with the other players, there are a lot of other players in both games where the moment got too big.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we know that we are on in the Bay Area. We want to hear from the 49er gang. We want to hear from football fans everywhere who watched the decisions that Dan Campbell made and the Lions, and do you put the blame squarely on him and being over-aggressive? I do not. Perloff does. And for the Lions fan out there, right, just let the fan sit in their misery for a little bit. I'm sorry. I have to come from a place of expertise and experience on this one. As a fan of the Buffalo Bills, I'm not trying to make it about me, but I have experienced really painful losses. You have a Lions fan in your life, don't just let them sit in it for a minute. You don't have to, next year and this and that. Just let them sit with the devastation, okay? And you have to tell them, you don't have to say to a Lions fan, wow, I feel really bad for the Lions fans. They know, okay? They know. It's been the whole history of the franchise. They had a 17-point lead on the road. I'm sure people were looking up flights to Vegas and thinking about booking hotels, and now that got ripped out from them. Just let them sit in their misery.
All right. I don't know how you do that. I can't imagine the pain Detroit fans are going through right now.
Don't even text your friends, I'm sorry, don't, just let them sit. Just let them sit in silence. I beg you. 855-212-4CBS. Lots to do. Want to hear from you about these games. We'll get into Kansas City and Baltimore in just a minute. Did the Chiefs win that game or did the Ravens lose it? We'll get into that. 855-212-4CBS. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Oh, man, what a weekend. What a games. I can't believe I'm still in a little bit of awe last night. So, big argument on the show. I say Dan Campbell cost the Lions a game with his fourth down strategy. Maggie says, you got to do what got you there.
Yeah, I mean, this is anyone who is shocked by these decisions. It just, you haven't been watching Lions football or you didn't see what you wanted to see there. And the fourth down plays that were called, like one, Josh Reynolds just drops, and the other one, you get Goff going on the move, and he can't throw the ball. Like, there is a limitation to Goff. He can make plays when the pocket is fine and when he's right there, but if he has to scramble around, move, do anything that's like difficulty, when the difficulty gets a little higher, he can't do it.
I feel like you're insulting Jared Goff, who was on fire yesterday.
No, I'm insulting the execution of that play, because rolling out to your right in the NFL shouldn't all of a sudden mean you have no shot at making that play. And I feel like that's what I'm watching with Goff. He's limited.
I feel like
in
Goff
that way.
got it on to Reynolds. I mean, that was a drop in my opinion, but
no, I mean, Reynolds did drop one of the first one. He was just wide open, right? That was the 4th and 2, and the 4th and 3 I feel like was a little more higher degree.
Yeah, it was a little behind him. But anyway, I think the coach is to blame here, not the players.
855-212-4CBS. Buck is in Birmingham, not pleased with Dan Campbell this morning. Good morning, Buck.
Yes, I'm quite disgusted with the coach. You know, I've been a Lion fan the whole year. Oh. Now, when Frisco scored the touchdown, kicked the field goal, had Campbell matched that with a field goal, he would have kept momentum and still had a 17-point lead. You're on the road, you got the lead. Man, you got to take the points, man. You one game from, you half a quarter from the Super Bowl, man. Everything got to change. I'm so despondent, man. What happened, Campbell didn't realize that he had a better team than he thought he had. His team was better than, they played beyond his own expectations. He let them down so bad. It hurt me so bad.
Oh, Buck, I'm sorry for you. I mean,
so bad. Gambling Campbell, man. Let's think about it. They kicked the field goal. The defense held them.
I know, but Buck, imagine
if you had matched them with a field goal, they still would have had a 17-point lead.
I know, Buck.
Played the clock and won the game, man.
I get it, Buck. I know you're upset, and thank you for weighing in. You said you've been a Lions fan this whole season. Imagine the people who've been there since the 50s. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize your pain. I'm just saying there are a lot of people who've been dying, I would say living and dying, but mostly dying with this franchise for their whole lives.
I think Buck had an interesting point. I think Dan Campbell misevaluated his own team. I think that you got to I got the sense that the Lions were getting tight, and he just didn't seem to understand that at all. Like, I'm not surprised at all they blew those 4th down plays, because look at the pressure on those plays. You're putting so much all you have to do is get that lead and then try to run the ball and kill the clock. Much like the other game, Kansas City was a masterclass in killing the clock yesterday, and the Lions could have done the same thing and been in the Super Bowl.
Okay, but I could look at it the complete opposite way, which is Dan Campbell knew that he had a good team, and that's why he wasn't afraid to put the game in the hands of the offense as opposed to leaving it for the kicker to make or miss.
Well, he should have been afraid.
Well, I don't know about that. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got some headlines for us, and we'll get back to the phones in just a little bit. Andrew Bogusch, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I should have a voice, right? Headlines are sponsored. I'm all emotional.
You need a second?
Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. In Lamar Jackson's previous 7 starts this season, the Ravens scored nearly 34 points a game, and then 10 yesterday against the Chiefs in the AFC finale. And now they're 2-4 in the postseason with Jackson under center.
Can't turn the ball over. Fumble, interception, stuff like that. They gave them the opportunity to, put points on the board and win the game. We get in that red zone. It's been our touchdown all season. We just got to finish, and we didn't do a good job on finish.
Jackson picked off in the end zone. Zay Flowers fumbling right before scoring. Baltimore's the first team in 20 years to lose a conference championship game despite allowing 17 points or less, partly because Andy Reid's defense only allowed 10.
Our defense was outstanding. We were able to get a lead, and we were able to maintain that lead and did it with great personality there.
The 17-10 final puts his Chiefs in their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years. Patrick Mahomes went 30 for 39 yesterday. Travis Kelce caught 11 of those passes and Mahomes' lone TD. Kelce now has the most catches in postseason history. And now he's the Niners' concern. San Francisco benefiting from all those Lion gambles and mistakes, a 24-7 hole, becoming a 34-31 win, partly erasing losses in this game the last 2 years for Debo, Samuel, and company.
These past couple of years, we kind of fell short at, the NFC Championship. What a coincidence. Last year, we lose Brock. But the year before that, we just lose the game. And, we down 17 at half, and it's just like whatever it is they're going to take for us to get this win, and we went out there and did it.
This is the fourth comeback of 17 points or more in a conference championship game. It keeps the Lions without a Super Bowl appearance in their history.
I'm glad you brought up Debo because we haven't talked about him yet. Didn't obviously play a massive role in this game, but coming out of half, the 49ers with a gotta have it. You had to come away with points on that first drive of the second half. And what do? They went to Debo on three straight plays to get this thing going, and he did his Debo stuff with getting yards after the catch, 2 big plays from him, and then he got stuffed on the third play, and they kind of went elsewhere. But that actually was like a very small but really meaningful moment.
Yeah, I mean, Debo, 8 catches, 89 yards off the injury. I think there's 2 major forces that are clashing in the Super Bowl. It's Taylor Swift versus Debo Samuel. I can't explain that why. When Debo is on that field, the Niners, I mean, all the numbers point that they're so much better.
Yeah.
I feel like the universe is all about Debo, and on the other side, we know about this unstoppable force. And you mentioned Travis Kelce without mentioning the kiss.
I know.
Thank you, Bogus, because
restraint by you.
I've been the Chiefs defender, and it's getting hard.
Still.
It's getting hard, but don't you feel like Debo is
what's getting hard?
Debo is an equal. The Chiefs being annoying. I've been defending the Chiefs all season about not being annoying. That's getting really hard, I'm saying.
Because she was on the field giving him a hug and a kiss after the game. So was Brock Purdy's mom and girlfriend.
Yeah. Is that his girlfriend? Okay.
I don't know. One girl was going to give him an act. So I saw 3 Brock Purdy embraces. One was definitely his mom.
One was a sister, right?
Or I thought I saw a mouth-to-mouth kiss.
That was the girlfriend.
And then there was a girl in a long hug who ended up on the stage as well. So she must be somebody's daughter. So there's a lot for Brock Purdy happening after the game. But
of hugs.
But who cares if Taylor Swift was there? Don't give in to that. Don't give in to that.
Don't point at me.
Don't give in.
Me? You mean the world?
No. The bad people that don't like relationships and happiness.
Here was what I was really worried about, because we see this happen at award shows sometimes where a woman is wearing this really bright red lipstick. And then she kisses her husband or boyfriend or whatever, and then all of a sudden they've got red all over their face, and they're like accepting the Oscar.
Yeah.
You know, like a lifelong dream. It's like you got lipstick on your face.
It happened to Cillian Murphy at the Golden Globes, very specifically 1 month ago, and he was a disaster. His speech was all messed up because he was wiping his face. He's like I'm so happy. Why are you all looking at me like something's wrong? Travis, it was interesting. We were on the phone when that happened, and I think his beard absorbed much of the red lipstick and didn't embarrass him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all right, Bogus, so I think I'm going to leave you on an island here. I don't know if I could do 2 weeks with Travis and Taylor. No. I don't know if I could do it.
Listen, what we all miscalculated that this was going to end any other way except for them and her at the Super Bowl. And they've already done the math with the show in Tokyo on Friday night and then the 12-hour flight to Vegas, and then she'll get there
and the time
Saturday.
zone difference,
yeah,
and
she's going
to be there in plenty of time.
She's going to get there. Everything's going to be okay.
And it's going to drive you nuts, Maggie.
Well, I mean, I'm resigned to it. Like, it's happening. It's a force greater than me. It's like Mahomes. It's like Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey. It's just you can't bet against them.
Well, how about before the game when Travis Kelce took Justin Tucker's stuff and threw it to the side of the Ravens kicker? It did feel like the Chiefs are annoying thing started early in that game. I was actually thinking of our friend Pete Bellotti. I'm like, oh my God, he must hate everything about this.
Total crap. It is. It is. No class.
Which part?
Petty Mahomes was trending on Twitter.
Yeah. That whole thing is no need for the box to be the kicking stand to be thrown around and the helmets to be thrown around. I mean, get lost. Go
I loved it.
Somewhere else.
I loved it. That's the cool little stuff that should happen before a game. Knock this
cool?
over, punch that out of the way.
What's funny is you have all these Ravens, luminaries were there, like, Ray Lewis and Suggs, and you've got all these really just like tough guys on the Ravens, and it's Justin Tucker that started the beef. It's like,
Justin Tucker is a person that trolls a ton, though.
Yeah, that's true. He was definitely set up in their area. He was down in there.
You had to practice on both sides.
Yeah, right.
You know how big the field is? I mean, you'll find another place to practice.
Yeah. Mahomes kicked that thing out of the way.
Oh, enough of these people. I really don't like. I had no use for the Super Bowl. I get lost.
No use for the Super Bowl. You're not going to watch?
No, of course I'll watch.
Okay.
But I'll watch in disgust.
In protest.
Protest and total disgust.
Pete just named his memoir, Enough of These People.
That's right. That's right.
that sums it all up. Just every page is a different people.
It's a great idea for a memoir. All the 10 people who have screwed people out of you over the most in his life.
Oh, it's more than
Dan
10.
Campbell's going to get a chapter if I'm reading your Twitter handle correctly.
That whole don't get me started on Dan Campbell. You're going to talk enough about it. But I mean, come on. I mean, you're almost there. You're about to go to the Super Bowl or have more of a chance to go to the Super Bowl. He can't kick a field goal 20 to make it 27 up. I never seen anything like that in my life. Someone who has not watched a game could do that. Could make that call. I mean, that call has to be made. I don't. The other times you went for it, fine. You're trying to put your foot on the throat, but that one, you were dropping balls. You needed to get back in the game.
Yep. Maybe he didn't trust the kicker.
So I saw a tweet about that Michael Badgley has one of the weakest legs in the NFL, but that second kick, the tying kick would have been, I think, 47 yards.
Yeah.
If you don't have confidence in him making a 47-yard kick, he shouldn't be your kicker.
You're looking at a Bills fan. I want to murder everybody right now.
No, but that's what I'm talking about.
76%. He's 76%, 40 to 49. So that's 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the odds are on that 4th and 2, but I don't think they're 76%.
Nope. Can't be. It can't be. I'm watching. I thought he didn't know what the score was. The way he called that play, that was unbelievable. I never seen anything like that.
Was he J.R. Smith? He knows the score.
Wait, he's like, wait, we're winning? Wait, what? I am so yeah.
I thought he was winning, and he probably told him, "Oh yeah, we're up. We're getting ready to go to the Super Bowl."
I mean, to be
we'll
fair,
get him in the 5th quarter if we have to.
To be fair, he's the Lions coach. They're not used to being up.
That's why it's so painful. I think if it was another team, it wouldn't be as painful. I'm not even a Lions fan. I just had a hard time with the whole thing. You know, everyone was killing him. I'm on social media. Everyone's killing him for doing for going for it on 4th down in the 3rd quarter. But I was like, you know what? They were ready to pounce, and they were ready to dominate the entire game.
Wait, but can't we also just acknowledge that might have been? That's just the 4th. That was the 3rd quarter from absolute hell.
Yeah.
I mean, for the Lions, like, you have the IU catch, which probably could have been an interception, followed up by a Jahmyr Gibbs fumble on the first play of the next drive. Mm-hmm. You are watching just your season burn to the ground.
Yep. Well, thanks, Maggie.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure if you're Detroit, that was a pleasant.
At least leave them alone.
It's a nice way to put it.
This is what the fans want today. Believe me, I've got a lot of experience on this. Don't sugarcoat it. You know that they lost and they sucked and they blew it and all that stuff. Just don't try to be like, oh yeah, you'll be back there next year. That's not what a Lions fan wants to hear today. They want to take the 50 lashes.
I got to tell you, one great thing about being on the Maggie and Perloff show is I get to watch Bills games through Maggie's eyes.
Yeah.
Every bad play, I immediately think of Maggie's reaction. Now I'm going to watch the Super Bowl through Bilotti's eyes. Every time the Chiefs do something that people don't like, Bilotti's going to scream at his TV.
Total disgust. They should blur out the box that Taylor Swift's going to be sitting in. No one wants to see that.
Just pixelate it.
Pixelate it. That's it. It's horrible. Well, the whole thing is, this is a horrible situation. I mean, come on. Does anyone really want this? I don't.
I mean, like tens
Horrible
of millions
situation.
of people are going to tune in for Taylor.
There's a lot wrong in the world, Pete. This is not really on that list, but it sounds like it is to you.
Yeah. I would have much rather seen the Lions in the Super Bowl playing the Chiefs than the Chiefs and the 49ers, two teams that no one can get behind right now.
Wait, what did the 49ers do?
They're just always there. I mean, they're always around. They're always always winning. I mean,
too good.
Let's give someone else a chance.
There you go. That makes total sense to me.
Let's give somebody else. They're just always there.
Yeah,
that annoying relative.
Two games that they should have lost.
Yeah.
The Packers, and they should have lost the Lions. And now they're in the Super Bowl. It makes no sense to me.
Well, that's the funny thing. No one can figure out, like, what did the 49ers defense really do to change things up in the second half? It's like, I don't think much. I think, honestly, that things started really just breaking their way a little bit more. And
Chiefs won their game. Lions lost their game.
So your first book is Enough with These People. Your second book will be It Makes No Sense.
That's right. A lot of content.
The sequel.
Yeah, the Peopleati.
Creating a lot of content.
Right.
And the cover is just Pete with his hands in the air. Just like
Same cover for both books.
That's right. Yeah.
But the third one is all about Alf to end on a high note.
That's right.
Yeah.
Listen, when you turn in two masterpieces, the third one can be for you.
Yeah, that
There's
would
two
be
for them. Third one for you.
It'll be light for the kids.
It's like Scorsese with his movies,
Some NFL coaching news this morning. The Bills, they fired OC Ken Dorsey back in November. Joe Barry replaced him. Now Barry has the gig full time, and now Dorsey gets hired to run the Browns offense.
Enjoy him.
Iowa offensive coordinator might be the most infamous coordinator job in America. It's reportedly going to Tim Lester. He was a Packers analyst this season, was once the head coach at Western Michigan. And NBA action last night, the Suns got 44 points from Devin Booker, but lost in Orlando 113-98. Phoenix scoring just 4 points over the final 10 minutes of the game. The Bulls beat the Blazers 104-96 to snap a 2-game skid. Pete, back to you.
By the way, I want that Iowa job. That's a great job. Like the lowest bar possible, you know?
Iowa football offensive coordinator.
Yeah, oh my God. You score one touchdown and you're like Don Coryell or something.
There's a statue up for you if you average 17 points a game.
Like you have a 20-yard passer, like, oh my God, we've never had this kind of innovation.
He's a wizard.
Yeah. Look at this, man. What is it? That was actually, look, he spread out. There's 3 receivers on the field at one time. I didn't know that was allowed.
Wait a minute. There's a running back.
855-212-4CBS. Thank you, Andrew Bogish. 855-212-4227. All right. Well, you heard it there. Was the Dan Campbell decisions, Pete is calling it unforgivable? What'd you say?
It's
Disgusting.
unforgivable. Disgusting.
Everything you can call it. 855-212-4CBS. We dive more into that, more into Brock Purdy, and we will get into the AFC Championship as well. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Crazy games in the championship round yesterday. We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers comeback against the Lions and Dan Campbell's role in that comeback, which was some, aggressive fourth down decisions that were not executed well. And then down at the goal line, when they needed to score and they were going up against the clock, Perloff, and trying to keep all their timeouts to call a run play on 3rd and goal. That was the really egregious one to me. The fourth down calls, I was expecting, quite frankly, because that's who the Lions have been all season long.
Yeah, but if you were watching, if you'd bet on that game and you had bet on the Lions, you were screaming at the TV, kick the field goal. I think that's, so for me at least, and I bet on the over, and I was screaming kick the field goal because I just had this gut feeling they weren't going to make it. Because you could see in the whole second half, they weren't executing at the same level they were in the first half. Normally, yes, maybe you go for it, but you could just feel the vibe of the game.
Okay, but that's the whole thing about, and I know people hate analytics, but that's the whole thing. Like, you sometimes don't take vibe into account because you are looking at the other way. Yep. If I get conservative here, how does that kill the confidence of my team? And you're looking at it as not, what if we don't make the play? How is that going to affect my team? You're thinking, when I make this play, look at the boost it's going to give, and we're going to wrestle the momentum back from the 49ers.
The analytics were almost dead even on whether to go for it or not. And I think the analytics are incomplete because 4th and 3, I'm sure if you looked at the analytics, it was trending towards San Francisco favored in that position because the Lions were not having secure 5-yard plays consistently. So I think if you really, analytics, all we know about analytics to a certain level, analytics, if they were a little deeper, probably could have said, don't go for it. I think the analytics failed there too if they said to go for it. But it was 50-50. It was a coin toss. I think 31 other coaches would have kicked the field goal. Dan Campbell is the exception. I agree with you that that's how they got there. But, dude, you lost the Cowboys game because of this, and now you lost a playoff game because of this. You have a great young team. You better grow up and figure this out next year.
Listen, I think that he's doing the ultimate football guy stuff, which people love, which is don't put the game on your kicker's foot. Put it in the hands of your offense, which has been really great. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Mike is in Las Vegas. Mike, you're not pleased with Dan Campbell this morning.
Hi, Maggie. Hey, Perloff. Maggie, don't cut me off because I have 2 points, please. Last time you cut me off. First of all,
make them quick.
I will. 100% he should have kicked that field goal. There was 7 minutes left. They would have been up 17. They could have reset. Hey, we're still up 17. We just wasted 8 minutes of the third quarter. The Niners would have been deflated. That would have been a 3-score game, wasting 8 minutes. 100% agree with Perloff. You're wrong, Maggie. 100%. Up 17, you've got to kick that field goal.
Okay, what if Josh Reynolds just catches the football?
Maggie, you don't take that chance. You go up by 17.
I disagree. Okay, what's the next point, Mike?
Okay, I want to say the best play of the day was Roquan Smith when he did that offsides. He did that on purpose.
All right, that's
because it was 1st and 5, and he wanted to get rid of that 1st and 5. They didn't waste any time on the clock, and the only thing that went wrong is he got the 15-yard penalty instead of a 5-yarder. But it still almost worked. If you remember, they went to 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
That was 100% on purpose, that play.
No, Mike, you're right. And we're going to get over into the AFC Championship game in just a few moments. But that play, while smart because of the intention was to just get to the 1st and 10, so you have 3 downs to stop them, was poorly executed and over the top. And that was part of the story for the Ravens all day. They were playing up to the line and over the line, and they were getting called for it time and time again. But again, we'll get into that.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like it was bad luck, some of those plays, when the defensive lineman hit Mahomes in the face. I didn't think that was almost, you had to call it. I don't think that was caught up in the emotion or anything. I just think his arm made an unfortunate move there. I mean, do you think that was overly aggressive play or just wrong place, wrong time?
I mean,
some of that was happening.
But like the taunting penalty.
The taunting penalty was idiotic, and they had no choice but to call it. Van Noy taking the bait from Travis Kelce. I'm not sure they could have called 2 flat. I thought they could have called on Kelce too and made it offsetting. But generally, yeah, they definitely were not a poised team on Sunday. I agree with that.
Again, we'll get more to the Ravens. Did they lose that game or did the Chiefs win it? Andrea is in Berkeley. He's got a thought on Brock Purdy. Good morning, Andrea. How are you?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
We're fantastic. What do you think about your boy Brock Purdy?
Oh, couldn't be happier. I'll tell you, that's Capricorn for you. When the going gets rough, the tough get going. So, he's super responsible and disciplined, and that second half, I mean, that was epic. He's just unflappable. And with Mars in Capricorn now, remember Mars is an important planet for an athlete. It rules energy, assertion, and aggression. So it gave him a little more get up and go. Yeah. And Mercury in Capricorn, planet of communication. So he was able to think on his feet. And Venus in Capricorn, being really well thought of. And here's something for you, Maggie. Jupiter's in Taurus once a year, and it's in there now, which is expansion, abundance, and opportunity. And I recall you're a Taurus.
I am.
So this is a very benefic year for you. And people with other earth signs, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, Jupiter, in Brock Purdy's case, was trining his sun in Capricorn. Excellent time to be more purposeful and steady and work towards your goals.
Wow. Andrea, thank you. I mean, this is great. Push Brock Purdy to the side. This is the year of Maggie. Did you hear that?
Yeah, there you go.
What should I do with this Jupiter and Taurus? What did I...
Wait, so I was just trying to find, I'm taking notes
and
here.
It's
Jupiter
amazing that Andrea
Mars.
remembers that, by the way, because she was a listener when I did a Saturday morning show here. And me and my co-host basically had the same birthday. We were 2 days apart. We were both Taurus, and she read our charts once.
Actually, I told my wife about Andrea this weekend, and she asked the social media people to cut that because she wants to. She's my wife, who does basically analytics and data for a living, is obsessed with astrology.
Yeah, I love it.
She just bought a book the other day and sums up everything that way. So, Sarah, I will make sure that I get a video of that.
Guys, can you clip that? Should I start buying lottery tickets? I have no idea what this means.
Maybe next time she can give us the winning lottery numbers.
I was going to say, I don't know what to do. I feel like I've just been empowered by Andrea to make something happen over the next couple weeks, and I don't know what to do with it.
She predicted that Aaron Rodgers was going to win the Super Bowl before the season started on another show. So, yeah,
hey, listen.
It's not all reliable.
All right, Ryan. I mean, come on. Listen,
there goes.
It's not. It's,
Wow.
We're talking about
Ryan just
the
laid down,
moon and the sun.
Ryan
here.
just laid down the hammer. Wow.
What am I supposed to say to that? So you're saying I'm not about to embark on the best couple weeks of my life?
You could.
All right.
It's just you can tear your Achilles.
Oh no, Ryan.
Boy.
So I'm either hosting Good Morning America or I'm in traction.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Mike's in Pennsylvania. I don't even want that job, but Mike's in Pennsylvania. Good morning, Mike. What's up?
Good morning. Hey, I was just calling in because I saw a statistic last night on the television about the amount of experience the Lions had with 7 players in a championship game versus the 49ers and 70-some. And I think that's the difference in your game last night is the experience and staying calm at the end.
You know, Mike, experience, I think, plays a role. But I would say on the flip side, Kyle Shanahan has gotten, accused of having bad game management, and he's had tons and tons of experience. And I think Dan Campbell handed him a lot of, I'm not saying Shanahan and the 49ers don't deserve it, but I do think the Lions sort of took a lot of the decisions out of their hands that they would have had to make.
I'm seeing all these videos of the Niners in the last Super Bowl against the Chiefs where Nick Bosa's crying. George Kittle says, "You can bet I'm going to be back." Yep. Maybe this is that moment for the Lions where, like those young Niners players, they have to take a tough loss to get to the next step. Maybe this is the impetus for the next run of the Lions, because the Lions are super young. I do agree with that. The lack of experience showed there. And Kyle Shanahan has made mistakes, but at least he's been there a million times.
No doubt. It's funny, Dan Campbell said one of the reasons why he's so aggressive, though, is watching Sean Payton for so many years be aggressive. And Sean Payton is one of the all-time aggressive moves in a Super Bowl, starting a second half with an onside kick. Like, it's either in you or it's not.
Hey.
855.
Keep telling yourself that, Maggie. Tell Lions fans that, because it doesn't feel good today.
We get into the AFC Championship game. Did the Ravens lose it or did the Chiefs win it? We'll discuss that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
A flip by Richie James Jr. That means this game is over, and you can doubt the Chiefs. You can dislike the Chiefs. You can disrespect the Chiefs. You're going to have to deal with the Chiefs being the AFC champions for the 4th time in 5 seasons. The Chiefs have the Lamar Hunt Trophy, and they're taking it to Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
Wow, Mitch Holtis, that is Chiefs Radio, and he summed it up quite nicely there. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I think at times we have overlooked the Chiefs this year, as odd as that is to say. At times maybe we have disrespected the Chiefs. Certainly we found the whole Taylor Swift thing rather annoying, but here they are. It's like inevitable. Death taxes, the Kansas City Chiefs coming up big in huge games, Perloff. But I got to be honest, I was watching this game and thinking to myself, how are the Ravens blowing this so badly? To me, they actually looked like the better team. They were the number 1 seed, of course, but they blew this game to me more than the Chiefs won it. I think the Ravens handed this game to Kansas City.
How could you think they're the better team if those first 2 drives, Kansas City had 2 gigantic long touchdown drives? No elite defense allows that to happen. And then Kansas City sat on a double-digit lead the entire game. I don't feel like the Ravens blew it. I feel like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs game managed them to death. And we're like, if we need to turn it on, we'll turn it on. But right now we're up by 10, and they were up by 10 most of the game. What's the point? So I think I understand what you're saying. It never felt to me like the Ravens had that game under control. It felt like the Chiefs had them where they want them the entire time.
Oh, I disagree there. I think that every time the Ravens even thought about getting some kind of momentum in this game, something happened to take it away. Now, that's their fault. They saved their worst game for the biggest moment. The Ravens haven't had a game like this where they look so discombobulated. Credit to the Chiefs' defense. They do shut them out in the second half, but the Ravens' mistakes are the reason why they are getting sent home and the Chiefs are going to Las Vegas. A fumble at the end zone, just the cardinal sin of things you can't do. And I hate to put it on a rookie and Zay Flowers, but you cannot be reaching for the goal line. How many times do they tell you that in football? You get the fumble at the end zone. Then you get the Lamar Jackson interception, throwing basically into triple coverage. You can add the bad penalties on top of that. I mean, there were the Ravens got away from the run. There was so many ways that the Ravens could have gotten a hold of this game, and they could never do it.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs had a huge role in that. First of all, their defense was great, but they saw what happened in the Houston game. Remember the first half of Houston-Baltimore? Lamar couldn't get anything done. They were blitzing. I think they learned a lot from that. And I think the Ravens offense was not really awesome. I think that's the bottom line. If you could contain Lamar Jackson running, I just don't think he has enough confidence in his receivers to really beat you in the air. And you saw they're the worst team to play from behind. They're down by 10, and they just were not themselves. If you're right, I agree with you. If they stuck by the run and just stuck to their guns, but they kind of got nervous, said, all right, we got to play catch-up ball. And that's why he, I think, forced that interception at the end. It was a bad game from them all around, but I wasn't totally surprised because I thought the Chiefs had a lot of game tape on what you can do. Basically, don't over-pursue and don't give gigantic lanes to Lamar Jackson, and then you can control the Ravens offense a little bit.
Okay, but I get what you're saying. I didn't think Lamar was looking to run ever. Was there one designed run for him? I mean, you had 8 rushes for Lamar Jackson for 54 yards. He should have had 100 yards rushing. That's what he had against the Texans.
That was all on the Texans. I mean, any defensive coordinator could have seen the Texans were doing everything wrong.
Okay, but I don't think Lamar was looking to run ever.
Well, yeah, the fourth down was clearly a designed run, the one that went for 21. That was awesome.
Okay, but they also had like a 3rd and 1 and decided to throw the ball. I mean, I just couldn't understand, or maybe they passed on 3rd and 1 and then threw it on 4th down. I just don't understand how it felt like they were minimizing their own weapon. Like, was it to prove a point or something?
No, because I think the Chiefs took that out of them because the Chiefs were playing in such a way to contain Lamar's running. I think they were saying, what my problem with Lamar Jackson wasn't that he didn't run the ball. All the second half of the season, he was holding on to the ball so long, trying to make the big play. I feel like if he had just run the offense the way he did at the peak of the Ravens offense, it would have been much better. But I felt like he felt some pressure. He's like, I got to win this by myself. I think if he just run the offense and handed the ball off and been more relaxed about the whole thing, then they could have come back. But I credit the Chiefs a lot for this.
Well, I think the Chiefs secondary played really well. They obviously sold out to stop the run. I guess I don't even know if the Ravens, where was the adjustment? Where was, you have this, again, incredible weapon. It's not just Lamar, but how does Gus Edwards get 3 carries? I mean, everyone not named Lamar, you had a total of 8 carries by Gus Edwards, Zay Flowers, and Justice Hill. And then Lamar had 8 for 54. I'm baffled by the game plan. I wasn't sure. Sure, you want to credit the Chiefs and their defense and Steve Spagnuolo, coaches well in big games, but I thought the Ravens, like Todd Monken, the offense just lost their way in every part of this. They were playing like they were down 3 scores.
Well, they were down 10 points. So that felt, to them, they felt like they didn't have time to screw around. And I think the first half spooked them because Mahomes was never giving the ball up. And one thing about the Kansas City side of this, did you ever think once, even for a millisecond, that Patrick Mahomes was going to throw an interception or make some kind of mistake?
They didn't do anything. The Chiefs offense did nothing in the second half.
Basically, they said they had a couple decent drives, and some 3 and outs, but Mahomes came out there and said, I'm not going to make a single mistake. I'm going to let my defense win the game. And I think that's why Baltimore then got frustrated. You get it? It's like they were waiting for some mistake. They'd gotten those mistakes on defense all year. They have the best defense in the league. You would have thought at some point Mahomes was going to give it up or do something. And Mahomes just played very conservatively and kept them at bay.
And made the big play to Marquez Valdes-Scantling when they really needed it, which iced the game. But I couldn't tell what I was watching from the Chiefs. I'm like, all right, I get what you're saying. You want to be conservative here. You don't want to turn the ball over. Your defense is playing great. Keep the Ravens frustrated. But you're telling me that the Chiefs were not trying to score a point in the second half? That can't be. And that's not a great formula going into the 49er game.
No, I think their number one priority was don't turn the ball over. And I think if Lamar Jackson had that same priority and not had that fumble early and had that interception late, then it's a closer game.
Okay.
And Lamar talked about the number one thing for a quarterback in a close conference title game is protect the ball.
Yeah,
and the Ravens didn't do it, and the Chiefs did.
I know, I get it, but do you realize how much playing with fire the Kansas City potentially did? Because you couldn't even, A lot of these drives in the second half for Kansas City was 3 and out. You had like a 7-play drive for 32 yards, 3 and out. You were giving the Ravens good field position. They just couldn't really do much with it, and they were their own worst enemy. That felt very dangerous to me on the Chiefs side of things.
I never thought the Chiefs were going to lose, and I think Vegas, the live odds, said the same thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could obviously see the Ravens were not moving the ball with ease. The Zay Flowers fumble was a killer. There's no doubt about it.
The pick in the end zone.
The pick in the end zone, a little less. I understand you had to be aggressive at that point. Yes, that was not good either. But the Zay Flowers fumble in particular had to be excruciating for Ravens fans. I can't even imagine what that felt like.
This, to me, felt like the Ravens lost this game more than the Chiefs won it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I mean, you're the Ravens. I mean, this was a close game at the half. You're down 17-7, but it felt like that should not have been insurmountable. And this is the part of it that is devastating for the Ravens. We can talk about the Lions and them losing and how sad it is and how close they got and the Lions fans and the magic carpet ride they've been on this year. This is a more devastating loss for the Ravens. You have a coach who has been there before, and John Harbaugh, who's won a Super Bowl. The team was not poised. You are at home. And how many shots do you think you're getting at Patrick Mahomes? You know, you're the Lions. I don't know if you're coming back, but you at least changed the whole identity of your franchise. You're the Ravens. You are now just playing into the stereotypes of Lamar not being able to win in close games, and to be honest, in big games rather. And you want to know what? I actually thought none of this was really on Lamar Jackson until he did throw that terrible pick in the end zone into the triple coverage. I thought you could have blamed a lot of other factors, but Lamar does have to wear this.
Yeah, you know what surprised me? You're right. I kind of agree. It wasn't really all on Lamar. The fact that the defense gave up a 9-minute drive in the first half, I thought, what happened to Baltimore's ferocious, scary, turnover-creating defense? It didn't. I understand the Chiefs didn't do anything in the second half, but it just felt like they weren't able to turn on the Jets and get after Mahomes and cause some mistakes.
You know what it was. I mean,
what?
How do you allow Kelsey to be Kelsey like that?
Well, Kelsey made 3 incredible catches. So.
Okay, the guy's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. 11 for 11 for 116 yards and the touchdown. You allow them to get going with Kelsey, it's over. And he comes through all the time, whether he's looks banged up, whether he's older now, whether we think this is last season, all those things. I mean, he was great. Rashee Rice, 8 catches on 9 targets. It wasn't for a ton of yardage, but impactful. And then all you needed was a little something here or there. And you know what they want to do with Pacheco. It's all about running the ball with him. 24 carries for him.
I'm so curious. Can they do the same formula against the Niners? Jump out to a lead and just grind it out?
I don't think so. I don't think you can be. I don't think you can get that conservative. You know, it was. How do you get shut out in the second half and you live to tell the tale?
And not only that, you live to tell the tale. I don't even think you were after the Zay Flowers fumble. I don't think you were even scared. I think it felt pretty secure most of the second half. Believe it or not.
Can we hear from Lamar Jackson, please, Pete? Cut 29. Lamar Jackson lamenting the amount of mistakes.
Can't turn the ball over. You know, fumble, interception, stuff like that. They gave them the opportunity to, put points on the board and win the game. We get in that red zone. It's been our touchdown all season. We just got to finish, and we didn't do a good job on finish.
Yeah, they didn't. And they fumble the ball. The Chiefs end up having to punt after that.
They lost it on downs, I think.
Or did they lose on downs?
Yeah, they had it. Andy Reid pulled a Dan Campbell and didn't take the points, but.
And then the interception, led to another punt. But still, it's not so much that the Chiefs were able to capitalize and score off of your turnovers, but you couldn't score. So it didn't kill you because the Chiefs couldn't do anything on offense in the second half, but you just took points off the board from yourself. Just unforgivable. 855-212-4CBS. Gary is in Jacksonville, wants to weigh in on the AFC Championship game. Hey, Gary.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I've been saying it for years, and Ravens fans always get angry, but it's true. Lamar Jackson, show me in the postseason. You're not paid $50+ million a year to do it in the regular season. You're doing the postseason. And you touched on it, Maggie. How are you going to get a better chance? Your first seed in the AFC, you're playing at home. It's only going to get harder next year. Tua's not going away. Allen's not going away. Burrow's going to be back. Stroud's coming on. The AFC's not going to get any
Jim
easier.
Harbaugh coaches the Chargers
Lamar
now.
was terrible. The overthrows. Even when he ran, guys, he was hesitant. He didn't run with the conviction that you've seen during the regular season. He's a second or two late in decision-making. His decision-making is poor in the postseason, and he's got to wear it, guys.
No, I mean, we're putting it on him, Gary. We're putting it on him. Thank you for the phone call.
Yeah.
We're putting it on the boneheaded mistakes. I mean, you get a taunting penalty and a 12 men on the field penalty.
Yeah.
If you're the Ravens in two separate instances, that is just lack of, awareness.
Yeah, that was frustrating, and probably the right calls. One thing, by the way, the penalties, the Chiefs didn't have a lot of penalties, but you said they didn't score in the second half because they have one huge Achilles heel that their tackles hold like crazy. And finally, they started calling them, and that's why one of the reasons they didn't score. They had a scoring drive that was taken away by 2 straight holding calls. So I'm very curious, too. That's a huge problem with the Chiefs, don't they? And we're talking about, will the Ravens be back? I think they're going to be back. I don't think that the Chiefs, yes, here I am betting against the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs are not so head and shoulders above the rest of the AFC.
And look at where they are.
Yeah, I think the Ravens will be back. I don't think this was their last chance by any means. They're a pretty young team, too.
A couple more things on the Ravens. I mean, here we talked about it earlier. We had a call about it earlier about the Roquan Smith offsides, right? So you get a penalty where you put the Chiefs at 1st and 5 as opposed to 1st and 10. And you could tell Roquan Smith, they wanted to go offsides there so that they could get back to a 1st and 10, right? It was a smart play. It made a lot of sense. But he goes full throttle through the line of scrimmage and doesn't just get the call to move up 5 yards. He gets an unnecessary roughness call that flags them for 15.
Yep.
It was those kinds of maddening things all day. It's like, why can't the Ravens just figure this out? Why can't they play aggressive without playing sloppy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Ravens were going to score there anyway if they got the ball back. It was 17-10 at that point. Was there anything indicating that the Ravens were going to be able to drive down and get a touchdown with no timeouts? But anyway, regardless, yes, the penalties killed them. And that's why I think the team can get back. I think they can fix all that. And I think they definitely need another receiver, believe it or not. Back to Lamar Jackson needs more weapons, but they're lacking one weapon. Odell, the fact that they had to throw to Nelson Aguilar so many times and Odell completely disappeared, they need something else. They're a little bit short personnel-wise.
Oh, my gosh. Odell's first catch was in the 4th quarter, midway through.
But they did have...
Is that on the offensive coordinator? Is that on Odell? Is that credit to the Chiefs' defense? I mean, just so many things where it was not the expectation.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be excited about Zay Flowers. I think they got a legit number 1 receiver there. He's awesome. I know the fumble and the penalty and all that. But still, there are the elements here. I think 1 or 2 more things, and the Baltimore can get over this top.
It's funny. You said that the Lions, the biggest thing they need moving forward is Dan Campbell to sort of grow up, right? And to take the points when they're there and go up 3 scores and all that. I mean, that's going to be a thing for Zay Flowers. I know he's a rookie, but it's not just about the taunting penalty or the fumble. You can't then go to the sideline and be so incensed and so furious with yourself that you slam a helmet down and then you end up cutting your hand.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's hard in the moment. These guys are emotional, and I don't want to take that part of it out of the game, but these are things that build on themselves.
I think Zay Flowers will be okay, though. I mean, we don't know him as any kind of character issue or something. He's young. I think he's a pretty exciting guy. I'm just trying to think what can the Ravens do differently? And to me, I'll get a little more variable on offense because you kind of knew, listen, if you stop Lamar from running the ball, if you contain him, then that's a big challenge for the Ravens. I mean, I'm sorry, Todd Monken was supposed to go in there and have this pass-heavy offense, but I think when things got tight and nervous, Lamar kind of reverted to, I got to do this myself. I think he needs to rely on his other players a little bit more.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So how much blame are you putting on Lamar Jackson for this loss yesterday? I think the whole team, they handed this to Kansas City. They say head coaches lose more games than they win, like by making boneheaded decisions and things like that. I thought this was absolutely a Ravens loss. Credit to the Chiefs. They're moving on. They're amazing. The Ravens made it easier for them yesterday. 855-212-4227. We get back to your phone calls, too, on Dan Campbell. How much blame does he deserve for the Lions blowing a 17-point lead, tied for the third biggest lead blown in NFC Championship history? We get more into that. Again, today's about you. We want to hear from you at 855-212-4CBS.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, yes. You know, it's funny. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Saturday Night Live led with a skit about how depressing it's going to be when football ends. I hear this music. God, it's no wonder that football is single-handedly saving network television because the drama is unbeatable. And it's just, you can't, everyone says there's a script, but you cannot script the little things that happened last night. I think Dan Campbell blew it with going for it on 4th down. And I think that the Chiefs did a masterclass on milking a lead. So, Maggie, not exactly the same way.
No, I see this differently. The 4th down decisions, this is who the Lions have been. This is what has gotten them there. This is their identity. It turned them from perennial losers into a winner. And as for the Chiefs and the Ravens, I just thought the Ravens just handed this game to the Chiefs. And that's not to say the Chiefs don't deserve credit because they took it, but they didn't hand it right back. But the Ravens just have to be sick to their stomachs this morning. I'm sure the Lions are too. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Tim is in Arkansas, thinks I'm wrong about the Chiefs. Good morning, Tim. What's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it.
Yeah. Usually, Maggie, I think that you're the most insightful person in the room in your analysis, but I do think you're dead wrong here.
Okay.
Number one.
I'm hitting at a Dan Campbell-like clip. Go ahead.
Sorry?
I said I'm hitting at a Dan Campbell-like clip. Pretty good, but not when it matters most. Okay, what's going on, Tim?
So I think we're forgetting, like the Chiefs' defense didn't allow over 24 points the whole season. I think that they were much better than everybody remembered they were. I think that the Ravens had been reading their own press and felt like if they just showed up, they were going to win the game. And then when they got behind 7-0 on the first drive, which Perloff is right, they ate up almost the whole first quarter. By halftime, they were almost triple the ball control time. So when the Ravens showed up, they thought they were going to win just by walking on the field, and they got punched in the mouth and never recovered. In addition, I felt like they kind of acted like a little bit of children for the rest of the game. The coaching way outperformed the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, way outperformed the Ravens. You know, McCole Hardman last week, just as an example of folding, McCole Hardman last week fumbled the ball exactly the way Zay Flowers did. And we didn't crumble. We fought back and ended up winning the game. So I want to hear what you have to say. I don't know if I should drop off because I have a lot of narratives, but
no, Tim,
a lot of points.
I think it's great. Thank you for and thank you for making them. I think that I'll give you that. The Ravens lacked poise, definitely. But the whole punch to the mouth thing, I don't know if I can get with you there because you did have the Chiefs come down and score, and what did the Ravens do? Maybe put together one of the great plays where they end up scoring right back. I was like, this is going to be an all-time awesome game. Then the Chiefs score again. Then it became a little bit harder, a lot harder for the Ravens. So credit the Chiefs defense. I thought the Ravens did come ready to play, but I will agree that the poise, there was a total lack of poise by the Ravens. I didn't think they were surprised. I don't think they showed up expecting to win, though.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, I've talked to quarterbacks about this before. The worst thing you can do to a quarterback is make him sit on the bench. You can't get any offensive rhythm. So they had it was 7-7. The Chiefs went on a 9-minute drive. Yep. And you could see Lamar just getting restless there. I think they cut to him. It's really hard to win in that situation. Your defense needs to get the other team off the field. You need to get a lot of possessions. I understand. Those first two drives won the game. Kansas City was unbelievable. I couldn't even understand them. I'm like, I thought the Ravens were a great defense, and the Chiefs seemed not intimidated by them at all.
Well, that's the other thing to Tim's point where he said the Chiefs defense has been awesome all year, and, you know, we didn't pay attention to it. It's not that. It's just the Ravens were better defense. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
The Chiefs were great defense, and the Ravens were just better by almost every metric, just a little bit better.
Well, actually, the Ravens
Chiefs'
have done
run
it against,
defense wasn't great. Yes,
the Ravens have done that against the Niners and the the Niners, and who else did they beat? The Lions. Where the Chiefs were doing it to the
Miami
Raiders
Dolphins.
and the Broncos. And they did have a couple good games. But I think partly the Chiefs were playing East and Stick a lot, where the Ravens were just shutting down the elite offenses. And I think the Ravens defense must have settled down based on the score. Like we finally saw more of them, but they never threatened to make a play. They were never going to strip sack Mahomes. Nothing even close.
Let's go to Stuart. Is in North Carolina. Also wants to weigh in on the Chiefs. Good morning, Stuart. What's up?
Hi, guys. Great show. And Maggie, I'm going to agree with the last caller that I think you're way too unfair to the Chiefs. And if Baltimore would have blown the game like at the end, like they fumbled with 3 minutes to go going in for the winning touchdown, or Baltimore was winning the whole game, that's a different story. But when the Chiefs come out of that locker room and go smack, smack, touchdown, touchdown, they dictated the entire game. And I think it forced Baltimore's hand. So saying the Chiefs or Baltimore lost, I think, is really unfair. And the other reason, the Chiefs have a guy named Patrick Mahomes, and everybody else doesn't. And
well, I'll give you that.
Fact.
I'll give you that. Listen, you're right about. So okay, you got the Ravens come out, they go 3 and out. Then Kansas City comes down, and they punch in the touchdown. The Ravens responded with a touchdown. Then Kansas City scores, and then the Ravens fumbled. I mean, Stuart,
the Chiefs then blew it and could have probably put it away. Could have put it away right there.
You want to talk about going for it on fourth and not getting it, which was Pacheco up the middle, and the Ravens come up with a big stop. I thought this game was really in the balance here in the beginning. The Ravens come out, they go 3 and out. I never thought the game was over at that point, or that the Ravens somehow didn't show up. This game was 14-7 for most of the game, up until a minute 42 left in the half, for the first half. Then it was 17-7. The damage was done in the second half. This was where... However you want to look at it, I thought the Ravens just completely, they just lost who they were.
Yeah.
Could not commit to the run. Were playing like they were down 3 scores when it wasn't that dire. And the Chiefs, to their credit, they sat on the ball and let their defense win the game.
I mean, I think the Chiefs were playing a little bend, don't break, except for the couple times that they let Zay Flowers run wild. But I think that it was going to be hard for the Ravens to punch the ball into the end zone. That's why I think a lot of people thought the Chiefs had control.
Right.
When it really felt bad when Amenahu forced the fumble on Lamar Jackson. It felt like it was about to become a blowout, and the Ravens held on. But to me, they were never threatening. If I was going to live bet that game, there was never a point that I would have put money line on the Ravens. I just didn't see it happening.
Listen, I'm not disrespecting the Chiefs. This is the only bet I won all weekend. was I took the Chiefs in the points. And the line creeped up even after our show on Friday.
I know. I woke up
all the
Sunday,
money came up on the Ravens.
I woke up Sunday morning and said, "Did I just bet against Patrick Mahomes? What am I doing?" By the way,
I'm not making that mistake.
Yeah, but is there anybody? When the line came out that the Niners were originally a 2.5-point favorite, I thought I could almost hear the whole country say, "Wait, Patrick Mahomes is an underdog to Brock Purdy."
I think that the amount of traction that the DraftKings and FanDuels and MGMs must have gotten last night must have been wild. We'll get back to your phone calls. So you guys want to weigh in on the Lions and the 49ers. We'll do that. Andrew Bogish is here. He's got some headlines.
Hello again. Let's start with those Lions. They owned the first half yesterday in Santa Clara. They led the Niners 24-7, had 280 yards of offense at intermission, and then nothing went their way in the second half.
Purdy sends Kittle in motion right. Purdy out of the shotgun, drops a couple of steps, going to take a deep shot to Brandon Ayuk. It's deflected.
Oh, he caught it!
Caught! Ayuk caught it out of the air. A flag is also down. Did Ayuk score? He got touchdown on the 2-yard line.
Greg Papa, Tim Ryan, Niners radio. Brandon Ayuk making that catch off a defender's face mask, but how?
I don't even know.
Ayuk did tell Aaron Andrews on Fox postgame that a ladybug landed on his cleat before the game, so he had luck on his side. His Niners winning 34-31. The Lions' collapse included a Jahmyr Gibbs fumble, those Josh Reynolds drops, and the now infamous fourth down decisions by Dan Campbell. And now we get a Super Bowl rematch. The Chiefs were waiting on the NFC winner after their 17-10 slugfest in Baltimore. KC didn't score after halftime, but the Ravens only managed a field goal.
Back to throw is Lamar Jackson over the middle, caught by Zay Flowers, and lunges for the end zone. They're going to say the ball's out. They're going to say the ball is out in the end zone. The Chiefs think they have the ball in the end zone. No official has been given yet. They're going to say a touchback. The Chiefs recover the ball in the end zone.
Mitch Holtis on Chiefs radio. Zay Flowers about to score, fumbled instead. There was also a Lamar Jackson pick in the end zone. Baltimore now averaging 10.5 points per game in Jackson's 6 postseason starts. The Chiefs are the third team ever to make 4 Super Bowls in 5 years, and maybe they become the first team in 2 decades to repeat. Ravens D coordinator Mike Macdonald's expected to get a second interview with the Commanders today. He is also on the Seahawks' radar. Those are the 2 teams remaining without a head coach. Sadiq Bey dunked with 1.1 seconds left. His Hawks topped the Raptors 126-125. Toronto's lost 5 in a row. Men's number 2 Iowa held off Rutgers 68-60 yesterday afternoon. Zach Edey scored 26, passing 2,000 career points, making him the 6th in Big Ten history with 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. And finally, do we have a Connor Stallions in college hoops? K-State men's basketball apparently thought Iowa State had student managers or other staffers sitting behind their bench during Wednesday night's game trying to steal signs from the Wildcats' huddles. Cyclones head coach TJ Otzelberger addressed the story after Saturday's win over Kansas, calling the allegations ludicrous and an affront to his players. He added that the only thing that happened Wednesday was a K-State assistant coach cursing out a manager mopping the floor under the basket closest to the K-State bench.
He was so offended by this.
Yes.
It was almost like, all right, listen, I can, good, maybe we should have thought of that, or like, all right, good try, good effort. But he was like, how dare they insult the integrity? It was almost to the point where like, all right, what are you hiding? A little doth protest too much. I mean, dude, come on. He didn't accuse you of sleeping with his wife. He thought that maybe you guys had somebody behind the bench.
Yeah, it felt very like Gone with the Wind. Like he should have been sitting there like fanning himself, one of those, like he was so insulted by the thing. Like, how dare you?
It was. He was incensed. I'm like, man, how thin is your skin, sir?
We're too good to cheat. Right. Dare you suggest the Cyclones are on the up and up as a program?
Yeah, he really took that to heart. Meanwhile, I'm sure there is a Connor Stallions of college basketball. We just haven't found him yet. Also, do Stallions go to the Chargers now? Because you don't get in trouble for this in the NFL.
You can do whatever you want in the NFL.
Belichick.
Yeah, but Harbaugh has done a pretty good job of distancing himself from Connor Stallions. So I don't know. Do you think do we all think Harbaugh was behind all this? Probably, right?
Well, he definitely benefited from it. I mean, I think that's the ultimate FU would be have Connor Stallions joining the Chargers as some kind of analytics role or something.
Did he
head
really?
Of spying.
I disagree with him benefiting from it.
Okay, well, whatever.
Because I'm just saying, you don't need a
but
spy or a rocket scientist when the other team holds up 4 pictures and says it's a pass play. I mean, it's so easy to see. Whatever, this whole thing, we're getting back. It's so overblown. So, by the way, Michigan proved it didn't matter because they won without it. So, there's enough of the Connor Stallions.
No, but this would be the ultimate middle finger that Jim Harbaugh would give to the NCAA. Yeah. Like he has stiff-armed them or tried to at every turn. He's the malcontent. He's the outsider. He's the the critic. And now to hire Connor Stallions at the Chargers would be
head of advanced scouting. Connor Stallions.
Yes, exactly.
Director of opponent strategy.
Bogish. Thank you so much. We go to you for all of our good ideas. Okay, coming up, see you guys on the phones. Want to get back into this 49ers-Lions game, and how much credit does Brock Purdy deserve for the big comeback? We get into all of that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Okay.
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Get a shot at redemption. They get a second bite at the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That was Super Bowl 54. Here we are on the doorstep of Super Bowl 58. A lot of the same players, same characters from that Super Bowl 54 game.
Yeah.
Quarterback's different, of course. We'll get into Brock Purdy and his role in the 49ers comeback yesterday. But let's hit Frank, who is in San Francisco, wants to talk about his Niners. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure thing.
And I was worried about this game. I give the Detroit credit. They came out and they punched the 49ers in the mouth twice.
Yeah.
And the only thing I had to say about Dan Campbell, live by the sword, die by the sword. But the 49ers stayed the course. And Brock Purdy deserves 100% of credit because he rushed for 50 yards. And those plays were backbreakers. They had everybody covered. And they were able to run the ball with McCaffrey. But like those plays by Purdy, 50 yards, look like, I mean, I'm not comparing to Lamar Jackson. Brady bought out his inner Lamar Jackson on those plays. And also Deshaun Gibson made a key play on that
the fumble.
On the fumble. He made the hit on Gibbs.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. The Niners made plays. Kittle got the ball. They went with Debo. Debo started running people over. And that's one thing that the people forget. The 49ers offensively, they like to punish those DBs. And also the linebackers, they owned the middle. They made plays when they had to. And it was a great game, and I'm so happy. And I think the Niners do have a chance. They do match up better against the Chiefs than they do with the Ravens because the way they play, they're going to own the middle. And they're going to show down. They're going to shut down Kelsey. I believe so. I mean, you got Warner and Drake Greenlaw. They're like the heart and soul of the defense.
But Frank, there were a lot of receptions over the middle. Goff was picking them apart.
Especially the first half. I mean, St. Brown, you had Laporta. I mean, guys were kind of living in the middle of the field.
It's a 60-minute game. You got to do it the whole game. The moment didn't get too big in the second half. Look at the third quarter. They dominated the third quarter.
I mean, the third quarter, and Frank, thanks so much. Congrats to your 49ers, and I'm sure, we'll talk about how the 49ers and the Chiefs match up this time around. We have a long time to unpack that. But, I mean, that third quarter, things couldn't go worse for the Lions in that third quarter. And to be fair, they've actually been a pretty bad third quarter. Did I say fourth? Third quarter. Things couldn't have gone worse for them in the third quarter. And they've been a bad third quarter team for the most part all season. That's been one of their Achilles heels. And you just never thought it would go this poorly. But the 49ers, I think the big thing, Perloff, was they did go down and score that field goal first drive out of the second half.
Yeah.
And that just inched them a little bit closer to make it a 2-score game to the point where you could get McCaffrey back on schedule.
Also, too, that's a great point. You saw Brock Purdy came out in the second half. And he looked settled. He didn't look jittery at all. He had a big pass to Debo. That game was back on immediately. Although, listen, if Josh Reynolds catches a ball and Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't fumble, the Lions win the game.
Absolutely.
I also think, one thing about this Niners team, I've said you don't have 8 Hall of Famers on your team and not make a Super Bowl. I think the Lions are going to be back because they have Sam Laporta, Penny Sewell, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. This young nucleus is crazy, and even Dan Campbell can't hold them back.
Man, we got to talk about the future for Jared Goff on this team, though. We'll get into that in a minute. John's in California, wants to talk about Dan Campbell's coaching decisions. Good morning, John.
Good morning. First of all, New York Jets transplanted fan since 1967, but that under the bridge. Dan Campbell lost the game. You cannot. You have a chance with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter to go up by 3 scores. If you attempt to go for it and don't get, you could feel the momentum change as soon as they didn't get it. You could feel it in the crowd. You could see it on both sidelines. The Lions were deflated. The Niners were pumped up, and I knew as soon as they missed that at fourth down attempt, the game was over. There was no way they were going to recover from that. And as far as Brock Purdy goes, there's every game he makes a few mistakes. He had one yesterday where he threw back high across the middle. The guy made a fantastic one-handed catch. The one that could have been picked that was off the defender's helmet. You have to take advantage when you get it, and I think Dan Campbell's 100% lost this game.
Man.
You kick that field goal, you're up by 3 scores with 7 minutes going in the third quarter. You kind of take a little bit out of the 49ers because you went down and answered. Instead, you give the ball to them, and you could feel it. Watching the game, I don't know whether you could, but I could just watch it. I knew the game was over at that point, that there was no way the Lions were going to respond.
Well,
There's just no way.
Yeah, I mean, John, I hear you. So here's the thing, though. I'm always marvel at this because don't football people want the ball at a 4th and 2 in your offense and your playmakers' hands to try to continue the drive or whatever, as opposed to asking your kicker to make a 47-yarder in outside. I know the weather wasn't bad, but these were not chip shot field goals here. 45 and 47 yarders are what they passed up to go for it on a 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, respectively.
In today's NFL, those are close to chip shots. I mean, kickers
You're
today
talking to the wrong person. I'm a Bills fan. The 47 yarders are not gimmies. But again, there was no weather, so maybe you want to say that's fine, but I always think you want this in your playmakers' hands.
4th and 2 and 4th and 3, those are tough conversions. It's not easy. There's a reason most teams don't go for it there. And I just think you have to read the room a little bit when you're Dan Campbell. Obviously, I think if those were 4th and 2nd and 4th and 3rd in the first half when the team was super loose and they didn't, what happened in the second half is the Lions understood where they were and how close they were to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And especially Josh Reynolds got nervous.
Yeah,
I mean, he never drops that pass. He hit it right between the numbers. I think the moment got just way too big for them, and that's why they failed on 4th down, really.
Okay, but I think these are, you're right, maybe the moment got too big for them, but that's another thing why they were doing this all year for this moment. And the players were the ones that let them down, not Dan Campbell's decision.
Well,
because this is why you go for it all the time. This is why you're supposed to sort of get as comfortable as you can with playing this way. And because you never know when you might need it in the big moment. And you know your team's going to go for it. Like, no one on the Lions should have been surprised that they were going for it on 4th and 2 and 4th and 3.
It cost them the game against the Cowboys. And that was the first warning flag coming into this game. Oh, man, Dan Campbell is intent. He doesn't care about winning or losing.
Well, that was the 2-point conversion.
Well, it was 4th and 7. It was a 2-point conversion, and he wanted to go for 2. Then they got pushed back on a penalty to 4th and 7.
Right.
And he still went for 2, where he said, oh, this guy is out of control. Honestly, and they win the game with a field goal. It's a 17-point lead. I totally agree. It was a mental thing, too.
Okay, but say he misses the field goal.
The Lions could tell that the Niners could tell the Lions were reeling after that play. All the confidence was on their side.
Okay, but what if he missed the field goal?
Well, he missed a field goal.
What
then
would
it
people
blames
be
the
saying?
You blame the kicker, and you understand that. You understand that.
You
don't feel, if a guy misses a field goal, you don't feel like you won that play. The Niners feel like they won that play on the 4th and short.
Okay, I think we need some poll questions up today at Maggie and Pearl. Ryan is with us this morning. Maybe a Dan Campbell. Now, the one thing I can defend Dan Campbell for the 4th down decisions. I can't defend him for you're driving, you need 2 scores, you've moved the ball down the field effectively, you're at the goal line, you have all 3 of your timeouts with a minute and a half left. Why'd you call a run play? You were executing it perfectly. You had moved the ball all the way down the field. You had done it without using any of your timeouts by throwing to the sidelines and getting some big chunk plays. And then you run the ball, you get stuffed, and now you have to call a timeout. And it forced you to have to do the onside kick at the end.
Yeah.
Which is low percentage.
Not good. But if you put up the poll question, should Dan Campbell have gone for it on those 2 4th downs? You know how the public goes on this one.
I think it says Dan Campbell, are you blaming Dan Campbell and Dan Campbell alone or something like that? Because I think that's how this is shaping up when to me, that is wrong.
Let me ask you this question then. Do you think Dan Campbell should have gone for it on both those 4th downs?
It's not that. I get they were going to. That's like asking someone, it's like you're asking a tiger to change their spots when this is, guys, the Lions have been a losing franchise basically our whole lives. Unless you were around in the 50s and not, if you remember 1991, that was a long time ago. They've been awful. How have they dug themselves out of this hole? By changing their identity over the past few years, Perloff.
No.
This is who they are now. And to abandon it at that moment last night, it was never going to happen.
That is absolutely why they're not here because of 4th downs. They're here because they've done an unbelievable job in the draft, and their team
all
is
that losing gets you high up in the draft.
Well, it's not even the high up. I mean, listen, they have obviously on defense they have I think 2 stars, Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson, and then offense they have Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs.
These are guys, first-round picks,
these are Laporta's second-round pick. Gibbs was a first-round pick. The only running back that's been picked in the first round, I mean, that actually worked in forever. Jameson Williams, also a first-round pick. He's going to be good down the road. Honestly, they're stacked.
Jameson Williams was good last night. He just doesn't get the ball enough.
They're going to out-talent other teams from now on. So you don't have to do any of this 4th down crap because you can actually – Penny Sewell Could you see that guy running? He's a left tackle who moves like a wide receiver. They are loaded right now. So forget all this fourth down crap. Just go out and win the game because you also have a great run game. You have a great line. You have all the elements to be a championship team right now.
The biggest question I have for the Lions moving forward, and again, we'll get into this as the offseason goes on because now we have a lot to unpack with them. Jared Goff is limited. In this day and age, look at the 4 quarterbacks we had left. Purdy, who basically saved the game in part for the 49ers by using his legs in those scrambles in the second half. Lamar Jackson, nothing more needs to be said. Patrick Mahomes, the way he's able to move around. And then you have Goff. And I know Goff put together a really good season, and he's resurrected his career from that trade, and good for him. But asking this guy to throw on the run, or anytime he gets moved off of his spot, it all of a sudden becomes an adventure with Jared Goff.
Ooh, I don't know. Coming after Jared Goff today, that feels a little... It looked pretty darn good to me. He was sort of slinging around. If Josh Reynolds could catch the ball, I mean, his numbers would have been impeccable. His whole playoff run was close to impeccable. No, I can't even think of any big mistakes he made.
I mean, when he's on the move, what does it look like?
I mean, it's not great, but you don't need him. I mean, they just lost 34-31. Obviously, the problem is not offensive here. And they had to have creative mistakes to even limit themselves to 31 points. Otherwise, their offense looks great. I would not get off Goff. Goff's perfect for that. You know, losing Ben Johnson, if they do lose him, is going to be a problem. The offensive coordinator. Yeah. But are you kidding me? You're going to move off Jared Goff to go to where?
I think you need somebody who's got some more tools than Jared Goff because he's limited in that way. But that's me. 855-212-4CBS. We get more into this. See you guys on the phones. 49ers and Chiefs heading to the Super Bowl. We'll dive into Brock Purdy's role in the comeback next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
There's an I formation, second down, goal inside the 2 of Detroit. Purdy under center, snap, spin, handoff, McCaffrey, touchdown over the guard. Boring his way through for 6. What a comeback by San Francisco. Now, late in the third quarter, they've come all the way back.
Kevin Harlan on Westwood One. Who else? Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The 49ers overcome a 17-point deficit. They are going back to the Super Bowl, get a rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs. I get it. This whole season and maybe the rest of his career, everyone will be looking at Brock Purdy in every game and wondering, what am I watching with this guy? And we talked about in the divisional round, he really didn't play a very good game at all, but put together an incredible final drive to put away the Green Bay Packers. Yesterday, you saw a little bit of the same, not a weather issue, of course, but throwing the interception in the first half didn't look like he was playing that great. And then in the second half of this game, where basically everything came together to conspire against the Lions, Brock Purdy also put together one of his best halves. And how he did it, Perloff, was actually with his feet even more than throwing the ball. His scrambles and scrambling for first downs was the engine that kept the 49ers comeback alive. I don't think that he made the most important play of the game. That was Brandon Ayuk and the miracle catch that he had to put the 49ers at the goal line. But Purdy's ability to improvise is one of the main reasons that they are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, he's been doing that all year long, which is funny because he gets this reputation as a game manager or a system quarterback. The guy's made way more plays with his feet than people realize, gets out of tackles all the time. He's also a bit risky. You know, you saw him throw the interception in the first half, which was a tip, and then probably what should have been another one. He actually was not that bad in the first half. I think they drove down, and Jake Moody, who is a gigantic weakness for their team, the Niners kicker.
By the way, he missed that first kick. I was like, why did the 49ers never do anything about this?
I know. Well, they drafted him. I think they were trying to rationalize that draft pick.
Wow.
So they missed that. Then Purdy, I think they scored,
The Lions scored.
The Lions scored. I think the Niners scored again.
You're right.
And then Purdy didn't have a lot of chances in the first half, never got his rhythm because the Lions offense was the story of the first half. They could not stop them on third down. The Niners defense looks like a big weakness. So Purdy was what he was all year. I think he was not quite MVP level, but I think he was Pro Bowl level. And I think he's going to be this way the rest of his career. I think he's a really good quarterback.
Listen, I give him the credit for the scrambles, but you're talking about you came out of half. You're down 24-7. You have to come away with points there, right? If you're going to have any kind of anatomy of a comeback, you must come away with points. They go on a 9-play drive where Deebo Samuel did a lot of the heavy lifting on that drive. That's where they went to Deebo, and he was excellent. You kick the field goal, then you have the Lions turnover on downs. You go down and score a touchdown, and then that was the Brandon Ayuk play, that touchdown. I mean, that play, Perloff, is the game to me. And they score, and then literally the first play on the next drive for the Lions is a fumble. And Jahmyr Gibbs had been awesome, and maybe that took some of his confidence away because he had been just wrecking guys. He was killing the 49ers in the first half, and maybe that fumble sort of, I don't know, jarred him a little bit. He's a rookie, obviously.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this question, Maggie.
Yeah.
What does Brock Purdy have to do to convince you that he is a legit star?
I'm not saying that he's not a star, and I'm not saying that he is not a good quarterback or that you can't win a Super Bowl with him. Those are all the things, and that's not good enough for people.
He's a star. He can win a Super Bowl. So we're putting Brock Purdy top 8 quarterbacks in the NFL. You're fine with all that. I want to get the line because you have been not anti-Purdy necessarily, but you've been a little cooler on Purdy than I have.
It's just the MVP talk. It was just the MVP talk. And then the Purdyites and the Purdy people come after you if you don't think that he is actually an MVP. Or should be an MVP candidate.
No Purdy thinks he should be the MVP now, right? I mean, nobody's settled on Brock Purdy's MVP.
Well, I mean, up until that game against the Ravens late in the season where he threw the 4 picks, but up until that moment, yes, I think.
Well, I think if he wins that game, he's the MVP. But he lost that game, so Lamar's the MVP.
Right.
That was a mano-a-mano battle for MVP, and he threw 4 picks.
But that I just couldn't get up. I come right up to the line with Purdy, but I couldn't get there with MVP because I'm watching all the other amazing weapons, and I get called a hater for that. So I'm giving Purdy the credit. What else are you going to say about his second half? It was his feet. It was his legs. Good for him. He had, when plays broke down and when he needed to show the toughness, he was there.
And the thing is, he'd been doing that all year long. He'd been breaking tackles and making plays, also pushing the ball downfield. His numbers are really, really good pushing the ball downfield. He is not this little guy who's just kind of winning because of all the talent around him. I think he's much more. And also, his poise is definitely a thing. Like in the fourth quarter, if it gets down to Mahomes versus Purdy and Purdy gets his interception out of the way, I think he has the stuff to be calm and cool in the biggest moment.
Listen, he does have the poise, but I would love to have taken a, poll of 49er fans when you're down 24-7 at half and thinking, oh no, this is all going to be on Brock Purdy to try to lead us back here. Now, again, I think a lot of factors contributed because that Brandon Ayuk catch, I cannot overstate the importance of that catch because that also could have been an interception. It was so close. It was through the defender's hands, and Ayuk comes up with the play of all plays, and that was risky. I also think that Purdy puts his receivers in a tough spot a lot of times. I mean, you had Jawan Jennings get, checked out for a concussion. I think he leaves guys in this day and age, in 2024, I think sometimes he can leave his receivers open to be put in harm's way.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a Kyle Shanahan thing too, because as I recall, Jimmy G threw a lot over the middle, and a lot of his guys got blown up. But regardless, it is a team game, and you are right that Purdy has a lot of guys around him. You saw George Kittle and Debo. You're right. Ayuk's a star, and McCaffrey was good. To me, if there's one player that made the difference, it was Debo Samuel, and just his toughness, and just if it's 3rd and 2 and he has the ball on the wing and there's 2 defenders in front of him, that's a first down. Yeah. It's an incredible security blanket. And you kind of saw Purdy. I liked your point. Purdy saw and it came out in the second half and said, I'm going to Debo. He's my guy. It's a security blanket. And it's really the key to everything the Niners do, even more than McCaffrey, I would say.
Yeah, he picks up all the yards after the catch. It's amazing. 855-212-4CBS. Leland is in Sacramento. Good morning, Leland.
Hey, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. Wow, what a nail-biter yesterday.
Amazing.
So, a couple things. I don't really have anything to disagree with anything either of you are saying. But I do want to talk about what or how the 49ers got into the position they were in at the end of the first half. I kept watching that game, and I think I called it last week saying, man, I'm just seeing so many outstretched arms for the 49ers, missing tackles.
Oh.
I remember yesterday, Fred Warner getting juked out of his jock more than a few times, missing tackles.
Oh, the Jahmyr Gibbs one was terrible, though. That was a Chase Young barely putting his arm out there. And to their credit, they stiffened up in the second half.
Yeah, they did. And in the first half, I was so upset I had to get out of the house and go for a walk during halftime. I didn't even watch TV.
That's healthy.
Here's what I saw, and maybe you guys, I think you guys saw it too. I saw Chase Young giving up his edge assignment more than one time, and it seemed like he was just dogging it. He wasn't even running to the ball.
Leland, he's been a disaster since he got there. That was a huge detriment to this defense. I read some metrics on him coming in. He's been mediocre at best. And I agree. It's like his lack of effort kind of rubs off on the rest of the defense. I do not like him being there at all for the Super Bowl.
No, I don't. I was like, I hope they bench this guy. And then Randy Gregory, I saw him get nailed on the edge a few times. And my guy, Nick Bosa, he got blocked several times. And if they don't change that, I don't see them going past Kansas City at all. And I'm a 49er fan. I'm just being realistic.
Yeah.
So circling back to coaching, what is suspect with the plan that Wilk gets together and starts the next game out? Because they can't do it the same way.
No, Leland,
Mahomes and the Chiefs.
You're down by 3 scores against Mahomes. Good night. You're not coming back from that. Thank you so much for the phone call, and good luck to your 49ers, and hope to hear from you before the game. I mean, this is what I can't tell with the 49ers defense. How much better did they get in the second half, or did the Lions just sort of give them some really favorable stuff? I mean,
Lions did move the ball a little in the second half.
Well, they went down and scored a touchdown, which
I felt
took
like
a little too long.
Goff was still hitting guys. I'm not sure that defense stepped up. I felt like Bosa made a few plays, by the way. He obviously had 2 big sacks on Goff. So I'm not sure that.
The back-to-back sacks.
I'm not sure I put that on Bosa, but there's something. Steve Wilks, he's obviously a downgrade from D'Amico Ryans. There's no doubt about it. This defense went from elite, top 2, to I don't know what they are right now.
Well, they did get a lot of praise from Greg Olsen on the broadcast for the 4th and 3 where they got Jared Goff on the run and he missed the throw, because he said they presented like they were in man-to-man, but they were actually in zone, and they really confused Goff there. So
they let up
to Wilkes,
31 points at home.
I
There's no praise to be had for the defensive coordinator.
Eric is in San Fran. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking the call. And if I'm a big Niner fan, longtime Niner fan, if they lose the Super Bowl, it's going to be on that side of the ball. I really think that. There's so much hate being thrown at Brock, and I think we missed that this guy has played now, 18 or 19 regular season games?
Yep.
And he struggles early in games. Yes, he makes some bad decisions. He's still a young kid. Got great weapons around him, but we also have to see towards the end of most games, he steps up his game. And we've got a great history of quarterbacks here in San Francisco. We forget lots of games Montana threw 3 and 4 picks. We forget Steve Young's struggles. I mean, this is a good young kid. And yep, he's got good talent. He doesn't have a great offensive line. He's got 1 star on the offensive line. But this team can be better. They certainly can play better. We saw that the momentum swing yesterday in the second half of the game, maybe some bad Detroit decisions.
Right.
Or coaching decisions, but this team
some
actually
breaks.
has upside.
Some breaks that started going the 49ers' way. I mean, you need all that stuff for a comeback. I'm not denigrating the comeback for that, Eric. Thank you so much for the phone call. Here's the thing about the Purdy stuff. It's almost like politics. Like we see things two different ways. If I say Purdy's really good, but he's not the MVP, that's Purdy hate. Where I see that is that's Purdy praise, okay? I'm saying that he's good enough to win a Super Bowl. I'm saying that he made plays with his legs yesterday that kept the comeback alive. I'm just telling you what happened. But by saying that he's not an MVP, then I'm a Purdy hater. I don't get that. I don't see where that comes from. How am I hating on him when I'm giving him credit for the comeback and I'm saying that I'm outlining his role in the comeback?
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's not the MVP of the league.
Well, I'm not sure we're in the conference championship game. I'm not sure where the MVP comes into this. So
that was the whole thing about where I couldn't get there with Purdy as the MVP, and it's being looked at as
to be totally honest, though,
he didn't play well in the divisional round, guys.
Yes, exactly. I feel like you did sneak in some negative stuff about Purdy.
Did he play well in the divisional round?
I think the reason you said he was the MVP is because you said, and many people thought, that it was really other players on the Niners offense that was carrying the offense. Right. So I think that's the logical conceit here. And I think there probably is some of that to be true. But I think once you say that, you're sort of stuck in that position that it's really McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, which is not a bad place to be.
This should be forever heretofore be known as the Brandon Ayuk game.
So why can't you just admit that you think that Brock Purdy is living off all these talented players?
By saying he's not the MVP, I think I'm implying that.
Yes, but I think there's degrees here. So do you think, you can't say he's a very, very good quarterback and then he's relying on other players. The two might not sit together well.
Okay, so I don't know. I actually don't think he's a very, very, very good quarterback.
There you go.
I think he's a good quarterback, especially for this team. And if he was on the Panthers this year, I think it would have been rough.
So now you can understand why people think that.
Maybe. Meanwhile, we have a bet going, by the way, where I've put my Purdy stuff on the line here. I don't say my money where my mouth is, but if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, I've got to wear the Brock Purdy for MVP shirt for a month. Oof. That was Eric in Portland who sent that to us.
I mean, honestly, Brock Purdy was going to have to earn it in this game against the Chiefs. I think if they do win this game, it's got to be because of him to a large extent. He can't rely on this talent. In this game, I think you'll earn that T-shirt if the Niners win.
David is in Maryland, wants to flip over to the AFC Championship game. David, I have to imagine it's got to be a pretty bad morning in Maryland. How you doing, dude?
Not too bad. Actually not, because I kind of figured it would be this way.
Okay.
And first of all, because of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against either one of those, Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift. But at the same time, I don't believe the NFL should have set this game up just because of her, even though I personally don't have anything against her. Actually, I like some of her music, but, as far as setting games up just for them, I think that was the wrong thing to do, and it sends a bad message for the integrity of the game to Roger Goodell, the referees, Vegas, and everybody else. Because
so, David, do you think this was rigged to get Taylor Swift's appearance at the Super Bowl?
And like I said, I don't have anything against the girl.
Right.
That's fine and dandy. But as far as the rigging games, it's. And I'm not saying just this game. I know it's pretty prevalent in football. It's kind of like Vince McMahon's WWE. They only determine the outcome. And that's kind of, and I don't get me wrong, I used to watch WWE too, and Vince McMahon and all them on there. I used to watch that. But, then when I learned later in life, when I got older, I realized it's so fake, it's not even fun anymore. I like the games just be like,
wait, David, hold on one second, though. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
The games are, more fun.
Wait, David, hold on one sec.
Good.
Pal, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Right.
You 100% believe that this game, the AFC Championship game, was rigged to satisfy, not because Taylor Swift said to do it, but because the NFL wants Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl cheering on Kelce.
Right, I do agree with that. So that's why I'm really not ticked off this morning. I know a lot of Ravens fans might be ticked off, but really I'm not ticked off because I kind of expected. I was telling my wife that, and she was saying the same thing.
What was the play or the call? What was the call that you thought handed this game to the Chiefs?
There was so many ridiculous calls, and then the Ravens even got a taunting call, I believe, like a 15-yard penalty or something like that when they hit the guy. They just need to let the players play. Don't be calling all these penalties. Don't let the refs decide who wins and loses.
Yeah,
and I'm not just saying this game either. There's been a lot of games this year that the referees especially, and I'm not even a Detroit or Dallas fan, but I remember a game earlier this year, I think it was Detroit and Dallas down in Dallas, And
big one about
Detroit,
the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, they got
David,
the
thank you so much for the phone call.
Conversion stolen from. That was just wrong to do that,
David, I'm sorry about your Ravens, although you say, and thank you for the phone call, that you were expecting it. See, this is the thing about the Taylor Swift, the fait accompli, if you will.
Yeah.
Besides the taunting call, which they end up scoring on that drive anyway. So besides the taunting call, what else could you point to? There actually were 12 men on the field. There was maybe a pass interference on Isaiah Likely.
Well, or that one they definitely should have called because he clearly hooked him.
Yeah.
That's the
bad
easiest.
one.
And the official had his eyes right on it. Also, I think on the interception that Lamar threw, there was an interesting discussion which baffled me, where they said obviously the Ravens receiver got interfered with. Probably didn't actually impact the play.
Yeah.
But then Gene's like, well, I think he got there after the interception. As Gene Sarator, the CBS officiating analyst, is saying that, you clearly see the Ravens receiver get tackled 1 second before the interception. So you could have called PI there as well.
Yeah.
It's a hard call to make. Trust me, when you throw the ball into 3 defenders, no one's going to call that. But that was technically pass interference.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there were a couple not crazy calls. There were a couple big calls that happened in that game. Besides the taunting, though,
also,
which I hated, I don't know what else they really got. And the pass interference with the hook.
The Likely call was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Also, they could have called offsetting on Kyle Van Noy and Travis Kelce.
Right. That was 30 penalty yards in one drive.
But I got to tell you, they did. The game was getting out of control. Kansas City was driving down to take a lead that would have put the game out of business, and they called one pretty dubious holding call on the Chiefs that took them out of field goal range. So I was like, ooh, maybe they want this game to be at least keep the eyeballs on CBS for a little while longer.
I'm sorry. I said that they had they scored on the taunting after the taunting penalty, but they did not, did they?
What? So
Zay
they were
Flowers
down at
got
the
called
20.
for taunting. And then,
was that the interception
and
drive?
that ended up being the fumble.
Oh, okay. That ended up being okay.
I'm sorry about that. So no, it was a big.
Well, actually, but your point was valid. I don't think that impacted the drive because they got down to the 1 yard line and fumbled the ball.
Through the end zone, which again, it's just the brutal mistakes. And again, like I'm here for all the Taylor Swift conspiracy theories. But I was watching that game yesterday. It was really just that Likely pass interference. I thought, oh, all right, maybe they're handing this to them. But
no, I can't buy that. I do believe a lot of people think there is something going on here. I think as a society, maybe we err too much to the side of conspiracy theories.
You think? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Speaking of that that Chiefs Ravens game, how much blame should Lamar Jackson get for coming up short against the Chiefs? We dive in next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Welcome back to Maggie Perloff. I got to tell you one thing. The Lions are going to be back here, Maggie. So as bad as yesterday was, this is going to be a learning experience for the coach and the team, because they are absolutely stacked. They built their team exactly like the 49ers. They have probably 5 Hall of Famers. I know that sounds crazy. They have the best left tackle in football, Penny Sewell. Sam Laporta is going to be the next Travis Kelce. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't even know what he is. He's a new thing that we haven't seen. And they have the star pass rusher, Nathan Hutchinson. Everything is here. Once Dan Campbell cuts the crap and starts to kick field goals, this Lions team is going to be in the Super Bowl, and I'm so secure about that.
So when Dan Campbell has gone for it on 4th downs with the team leading, okay, which is what was happening yesterday when he was going for these 4th downs, they have been successful on 71% of those calls. I mean, it's not like that's good, by the way. That's really good.
Do you have a distance on those?
I do not have a distance on them.
Because a lot of those could be 4th and 1 where
Yeah,
they
but
could
they
just
don't
sneak.
tush push. It's not like
Regardless,
your Eagles.
By the way, it's not like the QB sneak did work 90% of the time before the tush push. A lot of those could have been 4th and 1. I think the tush push is 90%, and the regular 4th and 1 sneaks like 83%. So it's not that big a deal.
I'm just saying, to say that it was going to be a no doubt, hitting 47-yarders and hitting 45-yarders, that's not.
The extra point is basically a 45-yard field goal now. That is a no doubt. As long as there's not wind, that is an easy field goal in the NFL.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. How about the players just execute the play? Adrian's in Maryland has a thought on Brock Purdy. Hey, Adrian, what's up?
Hey, guys. Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Got a couple things, if you don't mind. First thing is this Brock Purdy thing is, let's not forget against Green Bay. It should have been a pick six earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Last week, and against Green Bay, they missed the field goal. So they're letting him off the hook quite a bit. This game against Detroit, Dan Campbell doesn't take the 3 points. Like I told one of my friends, it's like a basketball game. You trade points with them every time, and the clock's going to eventually run out on the team that's losing. So that was on Dan Campbell. Also, Brandon Ayuk had 68 yards, and 52 of those came on that one play.
Oh, yeah.
So,
before that play, he was he had one catch for 11 yards.
Right. So we saying Brock Purdy is this game changer, and he was doing all this. He got helped out a lot, and the Gibbs fumble made it a short field. So
definitely,
let's call a spade a spade. If they're playing against Andy Reid, they're probably getting blown out, and Andy Reid's not making those dumb mistakes.
Adrian,
with Dan,
I'm with you. I'm with you on this. And people I get labeled, and you'll get labeled as a Purdy hater. But just let's point out, the biggest play in the game last night in the NFC Championship game was the Brandon Ayuk play. That was the biggest play. That was what turned it. That was the momentum shifter. And then add on the Jahmyr Gibbs fumble the next drive. That's it.
Right. Hey, let me ask you guys this question.
Sure.
They threw a flag on that Brandon Ayuk catch.
Mm-hmm.
Do they pick it up if he doesn't catch it or it's intercepted?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they did pick up the flag.
Yeah, what was it? Actually, and I was just thinking about, what was the call? Was it pass interference on the Lions?
They never said the call. They said it was going to be pass interference on the line.
Yeah. I was wondering. I don't think. Was it holding or pass interference? So that's the question.
They said there was no foul.
Right. But they were going to. If he didn't catch it, they probably were going
to in general because there was minimum contact.
I don't know. I mean,
I thought that DB.
How often do they pick up PI flags though?
I thought the DB had more right to that ball than Ayuk did.
He should have intercepted it. I thought.
Right. It hit off his helmet. So, like I said, this Purdy thing of he's doing this, he's doing that, we got to slow down on that. He's getting a lot of help from the other team.
Listen, Adrian, I'll give the credit where it's due. Thank you for the phone call. Purdy kept drives going with his legs in the second half. Okay. That is a big part of his game, and he displayed it. That's a positive thing, but this is a full total implosion, I thought, by the Lions, and some lucky breaks also by the 49ers that they took advantage of, right? They didn't give the game back to the Lions. Quickly, Anthony is in Myrtle Beach. Anthony.
What's going on, guys?
We're great. How you doing?
You know me. Every day's a good day.
Well, we do know you. So what's on your mind?
Well, regardless of what happened, I think the world's going to be 49ers fans. We're tired of the Chiefs. It's probably pretty safe to say. But after all said and done, I'm the biggest winner because Maggie and Perloff are finally back on my radio station this morning. They got rid of the other one they replaced you with by me.
Yes.
So I'm so happy to hear you guys.
We didn't know that. Anthony, thank you for the great news. Well, here we are. We're back up.
Back in Myrtle Beach.
Get the band back together. Let's go.
We're here. We're going.
Let's hit the closest Piggly Wiggly and get 18 holes in. Let's do this thing.
There you go.
Anthony, thank you for the phone call. All right.
Back in Myrtle Beach.
We love Myrtle Beach. That was my first ever spring break was in Myrtle Beach.
Uh-oh.
Serious. Uh-oh's right.
Oh,
got my fake ID taken. Andrew Bogish is here and never held it against him. Good morning, Bogish.
Good morning. So if Pete thinks the Niners win the Super Bowl too much, wait till he gets a hold of the Chiefs. 4 in 5 seasons, thanks to yesterday's 17-10 thumper in Baltimore. It doesn't feel like too many for Patrick Mahomes.
You never know how many you're going to get to, if you're going to get to any. And so it truly is special.
Mahomes 2-1 so far in the Super Bowl, including number 54 against the Niners. He'll see them again in Vegas in 2 weeks after engineering 2 quick TD drives yesterday, then letting the defense suffocate Lamar Jackson and his Ravens. John Harbaugh's team put 34 points on Houston in the divisional round.
We had a couple opportunities to score down there. We didn't get the touchdowns. I mean, it was really a defensive struggle if you step back and look at the whole game. And they were able to score the points, and we weren't.
Zay Flowers fumbling at the goal line. Lamar picked off in the end zone. His Ravens now 2-4 in the postseason when he's under center. He has 8 turnovers in those games. The team scores just 10.5 points per contest. The Niners scored the first 27 points of the second half yesterday, turning that 24-7 Lions halftime lead into a 34-31 win. It's usually Kyle Shanahan's team wasting big leads.
The guys didn't want today to be the last day, and we put ourselves in a hole, but they played like it in the second half, and we were able to get the ball to bounce the right way, and we made up for what we did in the first half.
And, of course, the Lions fumbling, dropping critical passes, and the multiple debatable fourth down gambles all factor in as well.
Losers.
Yesterday, apparently a good day to pick your offensive coordinator. Joe Brady now has the full-time gig in Buffalo after replacing Ken Dorsey in November. Dorsey's now the Browns OC. And new Falcons head coach Raheem Morris is bringing Rams QB coach Zach Robinson with him to run Atlanta's offense. The other day, 62 points from Devin Booker were not enough for the Suns. Last night, neither was 44. Phoenix losing in Orlando 113-98, scoring just 13 points in the final period. In the afternoon, the Pistons got win number 6 for the season. On January 28th, they're 6-40, 120-104 winners over the Thunder, who had all of their players, I think, including Chet Holmgren, available for that game, and yet they lost to the Pistons. At least Pete's laughing. Hockey last night. Kraken.
They're so bad.
Dynamite analysis.
What page of enough of these people are the Pistons on?
That made me laugh. That whole sequence there made me laugh. Thank you very much.
Bilotti, you're America's dad watching sports. I feel like my dad reacts exactly as you do on all sports topics.
Take that as a compliment. Thank you.
I could see Bilotti, but the kind of person who is sitting watching the game, says to the TV, big third down here.
Yeah, I do. I talk to the TV.
Big third down here.
I talk to the TV. I walk around.
Oh, of course you walk around.
Yeah, I get that.
If the Eagles get a first down, my dad's not in the room. He's not seeing another thing the rest of the game. He is the most superstitious sports fan ever.
Okay,
all dads are.
But that's not not even my teams.
That's what I was going to get to. That's about the Eagles. This is what Pete does for all games.
He's locked in the bathroom
Right.
because the 49ers kicked a field goal.
The Mets, I'm in another house.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's not. Imagine if Dan Campbell was his head coach and he did that last night.
I'd be out today. I would
Pete,
not.
I'm surprised you didn't go on
aneurysm.
those cruises you can take for like 3 years?
Oh, right. I've been reading a lot about those. And you become like popular on social media. They follow you around. Pete would have to do that if he was a Lions fan.
I think if the Mets ever made it back to the World Series, Pete would just have to go on a 3-year cruise.
That's right. On an island to think.
You always wanted to hit every continent.
Right. A lot of walking. A lot of thinking, a lot of discussing.
At least in that one, you're in good shape. Because Mets are not going to the World Series.
With your luck, though, you would go on the trip to miss the heartbreak or to deal with the heartbreak. While you were gone,
They win.
The Mets, Jets, and Islanders would all win, and you wouldn't know about it.
That's right. For sure. There'd be no TV wherever I was.
You'd be stuck in an ice floe in the Arctic.
Pete's floating in Tahiti.
Pete, do you gamble?
Here and there.
Because I can't imagine.
Wow, that's kind of personal.
No. I just losing.
How
a
much
bet.
money are we talking about?
Pete losing a bet. You know when there's nothing crueler than a bad beat. Say it's a 7-point spread and there's like a pick six on the last play. I can't imagine you handling that.
Well, let's just say I won yesterday.
Oh,
right.
I won yesterday. I handled that game like I did.
You handled it better than Dan Campbell.
Yes, I did.
What'd you win? About $8?
Yeah, pretty much.
What are the other personal questions you can ask somebody? Like
I don't
Pete
think that's not a
Campbell?
personal question.
Oh,
We're on the radio.
I would say 90% of our industry
Yeah.
is fueled by sports gaming now. That's not personal, is it?
I don't know. What if he's trying to hide it from his wife?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you could say that in 2024.
That's true.
There's not enough. I'm not betting enough money to make it a big deal.
To have a blip. Got it.
No.
Yeah. The bigger, deeper question was the other day when you said, "What do you do for self-improvement?"
Oh, yeah.
That was a loaded question.
That's a lot of walking around with that question.
I'm fascinated.
I'm a nomad.
Fascinated. Because it's 0%.
Thinking and walking and walking and thinking.
Right, writing some stuff down.
Do you read self-help
He's
books?
journaling.
No.
He could write the self-help
Do
book.
you meditate?
That's what they all say is take a walk and write it down.
Do you meditate?
No.
Have you
When, on the
ever
train
been
home?
Have you ever done a 3-day silent meditation retreat?
No, not with Aaron Rodgers, not with anybody.
That's I should have said a darkness retreat. Imagine how long we're all anxious people. How long could you last at a darkness retreat?
Oh, I don't know. I think I do pretty good the first day. The second day, I get bored.
I just would love to know if P went on, not the darkness, but if you went on one of those silent retreats, where you can't speak for a week.
Like a 3-day silent retreat,
Sure.
you could do it. Yep.
And then you can finally talk. What's the first thing Bilotti says?
It depends. Depends where we are. It depends on what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know,
I really can't believe the Mets didn't sign anyone.
Right. I mean, that could be every day.
Yeah.
The Jets, same thing. Which coach du jour is there? So it would have to depend upon the season that I come out of.
Okay, let's simplify it a little bit.
Deep thoughts.
Any New Year's resolutions? You must have those.
Oh, my New Year's resolution is always this: always be better than I was the previous year.
Okay, there you go.
See, he could write the book.
There you go. You're right.
Better than a TikTok
Be better than
influencer.
you were the year before.
Yeah, I'll try to improve on the things I'm working on, and that's it.
There you go.
By what metrics? None of your business.
None of your business.
Right.
None of your
Leave me
business.
alone.
None, yeah.
How are the first 29 days going?
It's going good.
Okay, good.
We're getting there.
He's got 2 ideas for books. This is
That's
amazing.
right. That's right. And a lot of opinions still, so it works.
What's the first book? I've had it with you people? No.
Enough with these people?
Enough with these people.
Yeah. The
And
second one
book
is I don't get any of this or what?
Nothing makes sense. Something like that.
I'm telling you.
And then the third book's about Alf.
Yeah. Why not you,
For the
Pete?
kids.
Honestly.
What's with these people?
I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised that Bogish did not get to the biggest sports story of the weekend. I mean, I know the AFC and NFC championship games were big, but how about one team snapping a 3-game losing streak at home? That would be the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Houston Rockets. Andrew Bogish on the play-by-play.
Thomas, Dinwiddie, back to Thomas. He'll attack around Şengün, got in the air, finds Bridges, corner 3, and it's good. And the Nets are off and running, 11-2, just 2:20 in.
That's enough.
Oh, that was
Sounded great.
What is that, Iron Eagle? Can we hear some more?
Van Vliet just lost the ball. Walker ahead. Smith Jr. lobbing. Finney Smith the finish.
There you
Beautiful.
go.
That's enough.
Andrew Bogish, round of applause.
Great.
First
Thank you.
NBA
Dude.
game ever.
Excellent.
Super proud to even be associated
That
with
was
you.
great, dude.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Made my NBA debut on Saturday. Still can't believe it happened. Huge thanks to Chris Carino, Tim Capstraw, all the normal radio guys for the Nets. Chris was doing TV. Got to babysit Capper for a little bit on Saturday. It was
Let's
super
be honest,
fun.
they should all be looking over their shoulders. I mean, not just that, but they actually won a game.
Well, that is, I think, the thing. I think Evan Roberts, who is maybe one of 4 Net fans in America here in New York on FAN, he is petitioning for me to be at the gym at all times now because they want to know when I'm there.
Listen, you're the guy now. I mean, who saw that win over the Rockets coming?
Nobody.
Lobbing.
Nobody.
You know, have you noticed something that's going on? And great job again, where we're getting voice cracking on some big moments. Like Joe Buck's voice cracked actually on that Lions Dallas game.
Yeah.
It kind of gets forgotten because the play got wiped away. And yesterday, the referee for the Ravens Chiefs game, that guy's voice was cracking all over the place.
Like he was nervous.
Like he was
Or
nervous.
puberty.
But
One
I
or the
think
other.
it adds to the moment a little bit. I think when Buck does it, it's like kind of cool. No, is that what you're saying? Or Like it adds
I'm
to the
praising Bogish that his voice sounded so good.
Oh, you're saying you should never have voice cracking. I thought you meant like it's so emotional that your voice cracks.
I don't think that's really a badge of honor for a play-by-play person, the voice cracks. But the ref yesterday
Oh,
was
I
like,
see what you're saying, yeah.
he was calling taunting like he knew that Suggs and Ray Lewis were waiting for him in the tunnel. I'm going to beat this guy to a pulp.
I thought you meant like there's such an emotional moment that your voice cracked.
No,
like, but I mean, there was never. I don't think you were on the verge of tears at any point during the Nets game. Did anything happen?
Mid third quarter when I was thanking everybody for letting me be there. Yeah, it
Was
got
the Oscars? They start playing music.
I forgot to mention Pete though, by the way. So Pete, thanks for all your help.
Did you didn't even mention me?
What were you nervous about? Like with
Maybe
calling
when Houston scored 34 points in the fourth quarter, didn't think they were going to lose.
When you said Van Vliet and didn't go Van Fleet like I always do, was there any names that were making you nervous? What was the prep?
So Van Vliet, I had a good handle on until Jock Vaughn called him Van Fleet before the game, and that threw me off a little bit. But the good thing for me was part of their normal routine, the radio guys, is they tape. Well, actually, they go live on the jumbotron pregame with like a little
Warm-up,
scene
things to
setter
watch
for the
up.
fans. That freaked me out. I don't like being on camera. Plus, I can see myself on this huge screen. So I was dreading that the whole day. Getting that out of the way made me feel comfortable. The radio part didn't freak me out that much.
I'm going to be honest. How many people were at the game?
Full.
Oh, really?
That they somehow between other teams' fans and Nets fans, they're almost at max capacity for every game. And this one was a 6:00 start on a Saturday. It was Kids Day, so it was extra loud. But they draw well. They don't have great ratings on TV because they're bad, but the Nets still do draw well.
Okay, I was going to say
Bridges bobblehead day.
That too. I got one of those.
Wow.
As Ryan wearing the Nets hat. I think I was going to say that to be nervous in front of whoever was literally in the crowd is going to pale in comparison to the people who heard you.
Yeah, no, it was packed.
Wow.
So it was loud. So it was good.
Get comfortable in the Jumbotron. You're going to be living there. 855, nice job. 855-212-4CBS. See you guys on the phones. Back to the championship round in just a moment, including Lamar Jackson. How much blame should he get for the Ravens falling short? We do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Perloff talking about the championship weekend, specifically the NFC championship game. Brock Purdy's role in the comeback. Robin is in San Francisco. Good morning, Robin. Hey, Robin, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. My name is Robin from San Francisco, not San Fran. I know you sports people do that. But
did I say San Fran? I think I said San Francisco.
No, you said San Fran. That's what set me off to call you. The name of our city is San Francisco. The second thing I'd like to say, we hate that. We locals hate that. The name of our city is San Francisco. The second thing is that I wouldn't call it Brock Purdy hate on your part, but here's what I would like to say about making logical arguments here. Who's throwing the ball? Who's getting the ball there? Also, unless you were watching a different game than what I was watching, I think that 2 runs that Brock Purdy had something to do with them advancing and winning this game.
Robin, I said he used his legs and his scrambling kept the comeback alive. I think you kind of have an axe to grind with me beyond the Brock Purdy.
I have an axe to grind to you. No, I don't have. Don't project onto me. I'm telling you what I heard and what my.
Okay, well, the first thing you said to me was, "Don't call our city San Fran," like you were wildly offended, which I don't even know if I said that.
I am offended by it because
that's insane to be offended by that.
You are such a smart aleck. Bye.
I'm not a smart aleck. I just don't want to get a. I think she kind of had it out for me a little bit before we even got started there. San Fran is offended. Did I even say San Fran?
I don't know if you said, but I'm with Robin. I mean, if you call my city
Philly?
Yeah, the city of brotherly love, you're clearly not from Philly. If you call New York the Big Apple, nobody in New York calls it the Big Apple or the Big Easy, San Fran.
I thought that you're not supposed to call it Frisco. I thought people didn't like that. Frisco.
I actually have no idea if you said San Fran.
I don't either. Can we go back to the tape? Did I say it?
I should only call it San Fran now.
Should I just now? I don't want people like Robin to be offended.
Yeah, she did have it. She did give you credit. You have said nice things about Brock Purdy. I do want to make that clear. I just don't think you're all in on the Brock Purdy experience, Maggie.
No, I'm not all in on Brock Purdy being the MVP. That's what I'm not all in on.
But what are you all in on? Is Brock Purdy going to beat Patrick Mahomes on 2 Sundays? That's a pretty wild question when you think about it.
Can anybody beat Patrick Mahomes? That's not just Brock Purdy. Lamar Jackson can't beat him. Josh Allen can't beat him. Joe Burrow's the only one. basically, Matt is in Middletown. Hey, Matt, what's up?
Good morning. I'll just say this. Critical thinking 101 is you need to have cogency in your argument.
Okay.
You need to have supporting evidence to back your premise. Where is your premise coming from of that Brock Purdy's just a good quarterback? You know what? I feel so good because we're going to the Super Bowl. We live in the West Coast. I mean, we're NFC champions. I mean,
you should feel great about it, Matt. You overcome a 17-point deficit. What was the biggest play in the game?
The biggest play in the game was the Lions coach's hubris, trying to fly too close to the sun. Hey, how about kick a field goal? This isn't playing Madden on a video game, bro. How about you punt it? Their coach lost them the game.
See, Matt, I was going to be more generous to you. I thought the biggest play in the game was the Brandon Ayuk catch.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Well, that catch, and let's just face it, there's a little bit of luck every now and then in football. There really is, because if the ball bounces some other way, he doesn't catch it. I don't know what to say. I just say, just take us San Fran people. Just take it with a grain of salt. We're a little bit salty out here. We're too close to the Pacific Ocean.
I don't think you're salty. I listen. It's your favorite in the game. You know, Matt, thank you for the call and enjoy it. You opened up as favorites.
Yeah.
What more can anyone say? Nobody's doubting this team. Nobody is saying that the 49ers don't deserve to be there. Nobody is saying the 49ers didn't deserve to win the game yesterday, even though you were down and played a terrible first half. What more praise can we put on the 49ers? Is because I won't say that Brock Purdy looks like Joe Montana, which is what Perloff is saying? Because I just think that's crazy.
You know that there are a lot of people who think Brock Purdy is lucky to be here. You know it.
I think Brock Purdy
I'm not saying you
knows
say that.
But
No,
he's done
not.
a lot with his opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think you're underestimating his role in this. I think it's a matter of degree, but I still think you're about 7% below where you should be.
You thought Sam Darnold was going to win a playoff game.
I still think he will at some point.
Only got one more to go. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Laying press on the outside. Mahomes will throw it. In the pocket, he's launching one long. Marquez Valdez-Scantling catches the ball at the Raven 30 on his backside. Shades of the catch he had against Cincinnati in the end zone last year in the AFC Championship game.
Mitch Holthus, Chiefs radio, he called that catch like it was some kind of game-winning touchdown or something because, in a way, it was the game-sealing play. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Massive weekend, of course, coming off the championship games. We get a Chiefs 49ers rematch of Super Bowl 54, Perloff. And for the Chiefs, I mean, we doubted them at times this year because the offense didn't look the same. Meanwhile, to me, it was the defense that really was the story coming out of the AFC Championship game. That and the fact that the Ravens, who had all the skill and talent and motivation in the world, really just could not keep their poise.
Yeah, I disagree with that a little sense. I think the defense was obviously amazing. They let up 10 points against Baltimore, which is incredible. But I think that's discounting a little bit what Kansas City did offensively. To come out with those two massive touchdown drives and just show we're not afraid of the Ravens defense, then I feel like they played keep away to a large extent. And whenever they wanted to turn it on, maybe this is my imagination, they could have turned it on, but they had a 10-point lead for a large majority of the game. And they just made sure, you know what, we're going to protect this lead. We're not going to have any turnovers. And they knew they could win the game that way. It was Patrick Mahomes, pure game manager on Sunday. And that's what the great quarterbacks can do if they have to.
Yeah, I think that's more generous than I would give them. I don't think that they could have turned it on anytime they wanted to, because if they did, why wouldn't they have gone on a, salt away the game drive after the interception?
They're playing so conservatively. They just really, they did not want to throw it into a crowd at all. Mahomes is like, I'd rather just go 3 and out, or I'd rather punt than risk anything. There was not even I can't even think of a play that was close to a turnover by the Chiefs.
No, it wasn't. But I think if you're also not trying to not score a point in the second half. I mean, that's not exactly a great game plan. And to be honest, that's not something that's going to work against the 49ers if they try to do it again.
They did drive down the field goal range. Then they had a bunch of holding calls, which is, I think, the number one concern for me of Kansas City is their two tackles just getting holding calls or being offsides or doing something dumb. But here, you want to know what I think the biggest difference with the Chiefs is? What was missing on Sunday? What wasn't there? Two players were not there, Kadarius Toney and Mecole Hardman. You could say what you want about this. This was wide receivers blowing games. That's the only reason the Chiefs didn't have home field in this game, in my opinion, because Mahomes' weapons were undependable and made these crazy mistakes during the year. So they learned from that, got those guys off the field, and now they have a good crew around Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to this on social media, but Kadarius Toney, not going quietly, went on Instagram, completely blew up the organization, said they were lying about his injuries.
Yeah, no duh.
And it's just interesting because, yeah, he obviously wants to be heard from. I thought that the Chiefs were kind of doing, I don't want to say a generous thing for him, but instead of saying, hey, we benched this guy and we don't want him anywhere near the team, they said, hey, he's got an injury.
Oh, of course.
But he did not want it to be looked at that way. He wanted everyone to know he's been benched.
I mean, Andy Reid is not always the greatest game manager, makes some mistakes. If he had put Kadarius Toney onto that field, I think Chiefs fans would have revolted. Because he would have had, that game was about not making mistakes. And who makes more mistakes than Kadarius Toney? Nobody.
Yeah. And Mecole Hardman is also tough. I mean, no more jet sweeps for him, please. They had to take that out of the game plan. But no, you had the Chiefs. Again, I think they got too conservative in the second half, but they won the game. So, but I'll play the process here and not the results. I think they got way too conservative. They could not. They went 3 and out several times in the second half, and I thought when they punted the ball away to the Ravens, they were giving the Ravens good field position. I didn't understand why they turtled up that much. And to me, this was the Ravens giving the game away. The Ravens came in
giving the game away. They were never in the lead.
No, never in the lead, but they made so many mistakes, Perloff, that they could not ever sustain anything. Whether it was turnovers that were killing them, where they lost 2 fumbles and the pick in the end zone, whether it was bad penalties that were either keeping the Chiefs on the field or stalling drives. They couldn't get it together. And I don't know how John Harbaugh is escaping criticism here, because the team looked like they got completely out of sorts. And for a Super Bowl winning head coach who we give all the praise in the world to, I thought that he deserves to be criticism here. The other part is, why'd you go away from the run game? Why are you acting like you're down 3 or 4 scores when you were down a touchdown and a field goal? It seemed like they had never been, trailing before. Like, where was the fortitude to stay with the run game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hear you say that. You're right. That's easy for us to say sitting here. When you're actually a coach down by 10 points to call a bunch of run plays, that's a little bit daunting. And he's not alone in that.
They had 5 drives in the second half. I mean, one of them, it's not like they never had the ball. The first half, the time of possession was really favored in the Chiefs, slanted in the Chiefs' favor, not in the second half.
But in the second half, some of those drives had to be really long. They were trying to make up a lot of space. So they couldn't sit on the ball and have a 10-minute drive, because that would have played into Kansas City's hand. I mean, I think they were not built to play from behind, and you saw it. They're built to run and to chase the quarterback. They couldn't make, the other thing, because of the situation of the game, they couldn't make any plays on defense. Normally, they're attacking the quarterback and scaring guys and intimidating them. There was no one moment where the Ravens defense played well, but they weren't scary at all. That's not the defense we know.
I'll tell you, the one guy who was scary on the Ravens defense is Kyle Hamilton, the product out of Notre Dame.
Well,
he was everywhere.
He had a rough first quarter, though.
Rough first quarter, but how did he settle in? He was around every play.
I came away saying, oh man, because Kelsey burned him a couple times, that I was actually a little disappointed in the Ravens. The first 2 drives, this is the best defense in the league, and they just had no answers. And Kyle Hamilton is not a great matchup with Kelsey. Nobody is.
No, but some of those Kelsey plays that he was making on Hamilton were insane.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Nobody could have stopped them.
Yeah. I mean, it was another big Kelsey game, which if you're San Francisco, I mean, I'm not saying you have to load up on one person, because obviously teams have been game planning for Kelsey for years and it hasn't mattered. But is there anyone else who's even, besides Pacheco, I guess?
Well, Rashee Rice now is a weapon. No,
I'd put it all on a rookie in the Super Bowl. Make the rookie beat us.
Yeah, again, I don't know. Generally, Kittle was making great plays, but then there was a play where Kittle didn't have anyone within 10 yards.
Wait, Kittle or Kelsey?
I'm sorry, Kelsey. There was a play where Kelsey went into some pocket against his own. There was no one within 10 yards. You're right. So why aren't they triple teaming him on every play?
11 for 11, Kelsey was yesterday.
You know, the Chiefs have shown they can be a little more variable right now with Pacheco and Rice, and they'll hit a Watson. I wouldn't say that if the Niners can shut down Kelsey, the game's over. I don't feel like that.
I don't want to oversimplify things, but that would go a long way because those drives were, some of them, I mean, it was Kelsey on third down. It's Kelsey for the touchdown. It's always the same.
It was also Mahomes. I have no idea how he got some of those passes off. Honestly, I never for a second thought the Chiefs were going to lose this game. I thought they had total control from the start on.
Interesting. 855-212-4CBS. Of course, we're talking about the AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game. Wildly exciting and entertaining and controversial. Dan Campbell's decision-making is what's getting, forgive the pun, lion's share of the blame going forward on a 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, especially at a time when he had a chance to make it a 3-score game. Instead of electing to kick the field goal, they decide to go for it. The pass is dropped. The 49ers take over. They end up scoring a touchdown. They obviously scored off of both failed 4th down conversions. The 49ers did. I can't kill Dan Campbell here. Not for those 4th down calls. I know everyone wants to, but this is exactly what they've done to turn around their team and become actual contenders.
No,
Be
it's
aggressive.
Not.
Yes,
no, it's not. They've drafted an incredible team. They're stacked. They have the best left tackle in football, and he's young. They have this electric running back. They have Sam Laporta. They have Aiden Hutchinson. You have enough talent. You don't need to be a gimmicky, go for it on 4th down team. You're not playing from behind. You were playing from ahead. You were the better team on the field Sunday. Why are you bucking the trend and going for all these 4th downs?
Okay, you know who was a gimmicky team? The Chiefs have been a gimmicky team. Just because you're good doesn't mean you're not gimmicky. That is just the preference of the head coach and play callers. We see plenty of good teams. Hell, your Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl on the Philly special.
That's not gimmicky. I mean, that's an advanced quarterback sneak. Gimmicky is
the Philly special's not gimmicky.
Oh, Philly special. I thought you meant. I thought you meant the tush push.
No,
Sorry.
the Philly special. You won a Super Bowl off of it.
But honestly,
how
you
about
really
the Chiefs ring around the rosy?
Chiefs have
They
Patrick
love these
Mahomes.
things.
Yeah, they do, but they did not win because of gimmicks. They won because they had Patrick Mahomes.
No, but I'm just saying that doesn't mean anything about the other. The Lions have been this team. They have been the ultra aggressive on 4th down team. It would have been more shocking, quite frankly, if Campbell had kicked the field goal. And these were 45 and 47-yard field goals, not exactly gimmies, which also would have killed the momentum. If your kicker misses a field goal and you give it back to them right at the, at the 20 and the 30, the 28 and the 30-yard line, I mean, you're still killing the drive.
Bottom line, you kick the field goals there. We're talking about a Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. Listen, it's hard to separate because everything went wrong for the Lions, especially in that third quarter. And the biggest play of the game, no matter if you want to talk about Dan Campbell's 4th down decisions, Dan Campbell's 3rd down running the ball at the goal line, that one was inexplicable. The biggest play of the NFC Championship game is the Brandon Ayuk catch. That is it, period, full stop, that's it. That was the momentum swing that changed everything because it set them up at the goal line. They finish it off with the Ayuk touchdown. And that was it was a miracle play. And I think that's when the Lions thought, oh no, we're in deep doo-doo here.
I mean, I think you could also point to the Reynolds drop. That was gigantic. I think the 4th downs, this game obviously could be known, the Bills losing the Chiefs was 13 seconds. Everything's known for something. This is definitely going to be the Dan Campbell going forward on 4th down game.
See, I think it should be the Brandon Ayuk game. Why don't we go positive for the 49ers here?
You could, but people are not exactly going to know what you're talking about.
Really? 855-212.
I mean, maybe the Ladybug game because of that famous line. Yeah. But, yeah, I guess it could be the Brandon Ayuk game, kind of like the David Tyree catch.
Right.
But I feel like, the controversy is going to be remember when Dan Campbell didn't kick the field goal? That's what people are going to say. And I think I'm on the large majority on that one. I understand what you're saying. and it is their identity. But come on, don't you want to win a football game?
Well, put it in your playmakers' hands. I mean, you have one of the great offenses in the league this year. You're asking your team to get 2 yards and 3 yards. I know it's not a gimme, but this is why you're so aggressive throughout the year, is so that in these big moments, you have the poise to convert on those big plays. Try to go for the win on the road. 855-212-4CBS. Big Dave is in Kentucky. Good morning, Dave.
Great to hear the San Francisco Psycho fans showing the rest of the world why everybody east of the Grand Canyon still hates their ass. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. I don't hate San Francisco. I didn't know that I was offending an entire metropolitan area if I shortened the name. And actually, Ryan went back to the tape, and I didn't.
Well, I do hate their ass. I hate it. I mean, they're
as any good Cowboy fan would, Dave.
They're second to only the Eagles fans. Hey, by the way, McLovin, congratulations on your new OC.
Oh, I'm down with that. As long as it isn't what was happening last year. Why? You don't like Kellen Moore?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just, no. I mean, why do you have to read something into that? I'm trying to be cordial and
Wait.
I don't think Dave's a big Kellen Moore guy.
I don't care. I mean, Kellen Moore, as long as his name is not Brian Johnson, I am thrilled about this. And I hate to say it, I'm going to say something in support of my head coach, Nick Sirianni, for the Eagles. Kellen Moore is going to do everything. The less Nick Sirianni does, the better we are, Dave. Admit you're scared. Just admit it.
Why do I care? I'm a Bengals fan.
Yes. I love Joe Burrow tweeting yesterday during the game, let them taunt. He was not a fan of the Zay Flowers taunting call, and I'm with him.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
Explain to me why Lamar Jackson is not a better running version of Dak Prescott.
Wait, Dak and Lamar are the same?
Yeah. I mean,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, here's my thing. Lamar has a stronger arm, okay? I think Dak's probably a little bit better at process. Have y'all noticed, listen, and I don't know why I'm having this damn conversation. I don't care about the Cowboys. But seriously, Dak runs like Forrest Gump before he got the braces off since his injury.
Dak since the bad injury is
serious about this.
40 times slower. I did notice that. I'm like that. Maggie and I talked about that, how he had a first down, and it's like they're 14 yards ahead of him, and he limped to a 5-yard gain.
He runs like Herman Munster. I mean,
oh, gosh.
Right.
So seriously, conversation, it convinced me why Lamar is a phenomenal runner. I mean, and he's got a cannon for an arm, phenomenal runner. But you take his running ability, I mean, you put him a little closer in that category to Dak. Convince me how Lamar is not a better running version of Dak Prescott. Enjoy the show, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, Dave, thank you. I thought yesterday, we can talk about that in the sort of bigger picture, but I thought that was one of the big Ravens mistakes, is that they weren't running Lamar more. Like, why would you take away? You basically handed Steve Spagnuolo, the defense coordinator of the Chiefs, you gave him something there. He didn't even have to account for Lamar taking off.
Felt like the Chiefs kind of were prepared for that. It wasn't like the Texans where all 5 Texans defenders were 8 yards past the line of scrimmage. There was a bunch of green space. The Chiefs were hanging out near the line of scrimmage the entire game.
Has that stopped Lamar in the past? I mean, he's might be the best running quarterback in the history of the league.
Not in games where you load up to stop the run or you spy or double spy. I think that we've seen in the playoffs. Basically, if you have a really during the flow of the season, it's hard to do. But if you really prepare to stop the run, you can slow down Lamar's running. So then he has to beat you with the passing, which he kind of started to do in the second half. But the fumble at the goal line kind of hurt that.
They moved the ball in the second half through the air.
He was throwing the ball much more confidently. I think he figured out, he's like, okay, well, they're taking my run. I'm going to have to beat them in the air. And he was doing it. They just made some mistakes.
Well, you get one fumble at the goal line, and then you get another interception in the end zone. Boom.
On a drive that was actually moving pretty well. So, I think I get the Dak comparison. And here's what I will say about that. People put way too much blame on Dak Prescott when it's a Cowboys problem. And I think they're putting way too much blame on Lamar Jackson for a team loss yesterday.
I was not prepared to put a lot of this on Lamar until he threw that interception in the end zone. That was awful. What was he looking at there? Maybe there was some pass interference, but he definitely got hooked later on. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's triple coverage.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid a quarterback tries to throw a 30-yard game-winning, game-tying touchdown at the end. It reminded me of another very talented mobile quarterback who made a mistake and threw the ball to the back of the end zone.
I know, and you killed him for
Josh
it.
Allen.
I know.
No, that was a bad call by Lamar Jackson. But you know what? He kind of played a clean game until then. Again, the guys were not open for Lamar either. Every time like he held on to the ball, you looked and there was not a ton of separation. So it was a team loss, not a Lamar loss.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Want to hear from you. We'll also update some poll questions when we come back about how much blame should Dan Campbell be getting for the Lions' loss yesterday. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. So I had no rooting interest on Sunday. I don't think you really had a specific rooting interest. Your Bills are out. My Eagles are out. Did
kind
you?
of stress-free.
And I think we both are. We're fine with the 49ers. We like the 49ers. Yeah. But did you feel some of that Lions pain? Because I did. I felt it hard. I was like, oh my God, you've waited all this time. I'm seeing all these promos about 1957, and this is how you lose the game. It hurt.
Well, this is the bad side of it, right? Look at what the Lions did accomplish this year, right? You were a losing franchise. You're 3-13-1, Dan Campbell's first year. Last year, you're kind of go on this run after you start 1-6 and you end the season on a high note. This year, you make it all the way to the NFC Championship game. That should be a celebration in and of itself. But because you had a 17-point lead and blew it, now you don't feel as great about the accomplishment.
And you had quarterback C.J. Gardner-Johnson waving goodbye to the Niners fans. That is an image that will not go away anytime soon. And now it's how you blew it too, because you tried to go for it on fourth down. You had drops. You had an interception in your hands that bounced off your helmet. How you lose was painful. Yeah,
let's hear from Kyle Shanahan, who says that Ayuk catch was what unlocked his team.
Couple things get us off the field, but once BA made that play, it kind of unlocked it with such an explosive and kind of unlocked the whole team, because right after getting that turnover that I believe Gipp forced, that was huge. And right after that, you could feel the whole momentum with our players on our sideline in the stadium kind of flip, and you felt it was on after that.
Yep, there you go. And, if you're going to talk about, and I thought that was the biggest play in the game, was the Brandon Ayuk miraculous catch. But the other part, too, Perloff, is from the Lions side of this. This is I'm not going to call it a lie, but this is what you have to tell yourself when you're a fan of them is, we'll be back next year. We'll be back next year.
Yeah.
And you know what? The only team that really gets back every year seems to be the two teams that we have in the Super Bowl.
I'm not sure.
Chiefs and the 49ers.
I'm not sure if next year, but that team is going to be back. I mean, look at what are the key positions on the field? Left tackle, defensive end.
What about quarterback?
So their quarterback is actually on a heater right now. I'm fine with Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff has been nearly perfect in this postseason. Hasn't thrown a pick. He was completing, honestly, if Josh Reynolds could catch the ball, he would have ended up with an all-time stat line. And even if you don't have the quarterback, you have Jahmyr Gibbs, you have Sam Laporta, you have Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson. They're famously built like the Niners. They use the exact same formula. And right now, they're the young Niners. They're going to be back, not just once, many times, to this level. I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl, but they're going to be in the Super Bowl if Dan Campbell just learns from his mistakes.
Jared Goff.
Let's go to California. Big Friendly is out there. Good morning, Big Friendly. How are you?
I'm doing good, Maggie and Perloff. How you doing?
We're doing excellent. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to call in and let you know I'm from SoCal, but I've been in Northern California for 27 years. And those Frisco fans have an air of arrogance that hopefully in 2 weeks the Kansas City Chiefs can put a spear in.
Big Friendly, don't call it Frisco. If you call it anything but San Francisco, you're offending a large swath of people.
Hey, T is in the word, sweetheart. Big Friendly. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it friendly and respectful. So like the Pilgrims and Indians, let's talk turkey.
Okay.
I don't want to beat up Dan Campbell because Perloff, the Philly push. But the Lions are 13 wins this year because of Dan Campbell's coaching. Everybody in America wanted Dan Campbell to kick those field goals. And I agree. I'm sorry, Perloff, what was that?
No, they're there because Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, is a genius, and their players are great. It's not because Dan Campbell was going for it on fourth down.
Okay, Perloff, I was at the Rams-Lions game when the Rams got Matthew Stafford the first year. Dan Campbell faked 2 punts and went on in fourth down. Everybody said, what is he doing? Dan Campbell understood. The only chance I had with that team is trick plays. Do what I got to do. I'm not going to beat the man up. Everybody wanted him to kick field goals. The Lions were in the NFC Championship because that's how the Lions play.
No. I disagree with that because they don't need those gimmicks anymore. Now they are a really good team.
Okay, but some of the, I don't know how gimmicky you want to get here. I think going for it on fourth down is fourth and short when you're in plus territory. That's a little more of the norm these days than it is trick plays. We're not talking about Philly special here. We're not talking about fake punts.
We're not talking about 4th and 1. We're talking about 4th and 2 and 4th and 3.
Okay, as opposed to a 45-yard field goal or 47-yard field goal.
Yeah, that's easy.
Well, I don't know.
I totally agree.
Yeah. We all do,
totally
except
agree.
for Maggie.
Except for me, friendly.
I'm saying I would have loved everybody in America watching that game yesterday would have loved to see Dan Campbell go for those 2 field goals. Everybody.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And now, so we're going to sit here. I'm not going to slay the king of the jungle because he didn't get a kill on his first hunt. It happens.
Yeah,
so what we're going to
friendly.
do.
Here's the thing, though. Like, you might think and Perloff might think that the Lions are a shoo-in to be here and be back. And friendly, thank you so much for the call and great points. You can't say that. It's really hard because who are the teams that do consistently get back? The Chiefs, the 49ers, okay?
Yeah.
But it's really difficult. Maybe in the NFC it's a little bit easier, but I don't think so.
I don't think you can ignore this young talent. I mean, it pops off the screen.
It's Jordan Love in the division now.
Yeah.
It is whatever Caleb Williams is going to be with the Bears. I'm telling you, it's not going to be this walkover stuff. You might have blown your chance. That's the part that's going to kill Lions fans today.
I don't see that team. I think they've been built exactly the right way. And obviously, they're very, very young. And Sam Laporta, to me, look at this draft they just had. They just got Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, and Sam Laporta with their first 3 picks. This is like 70s Steelers kind of stuff. They're going to be really, really good. They are the new Niners. They're going to be back in the conference title game multiple times.
Oh, boy. I don't know about that. Nadal is in Dallas. Hey, Nadal, how are you?
Good morning. It's been a while. How are you guys?
Good to hear from you, pal. What's up?
Oh, man, I'm so happy on cloud 9 right now as a Chiefs fan in Dallas. Woo!
How about that? I'm sure you are.
Hey, let me start off by saying San Fran, and San Fran. and as Cat Williams said, look, lady, if you're this angry at breakfast, girl, I don't know what you got going on this breakfast. Why are you so angry at breakfast?
Maybe she was up from the night before.
She's still up.
Probably. and as a disclaimer, I was so happy and inebriated. I didn't even watch the second half of the Lions 49ers game. I couldn't even concentrate. But I found out my son Kareem told me, Dad, you don't believe what happened. I was, oh my God. Okay, fine. We get 49ers again. That's fine. I'm nervous about it, just like I was nervous against Buffalo in Orchard Park, nervous at Baltimore at M&K. But hey, I don't know what it is about my Chiefs. Come playoffs time, they hit the reset button. We have had no receivers all year. You guys know that and talked about it all season.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, Rashee Rice, MVS, making miraculous catches. I mean, those 2 big Kelsey catches, amazing. And so, hey,
and the
4
defense,
Super Bowls in 5 years.
You know what's so crazy? And enjoy the Chiefs and celebrate it. It's going to be super fun in Vegas. And thank you for calling. The crazy part is we're talking about coordinators that get hired off of these games, and Ben Johnson from the Lions and stuff. I mean, Spagnuolo, what more proof do you need? I know he had a bad record when he got a chance with the St. Louis Rams over a decade ago. But if we're talking about somebody who, I mean, look what he just did to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, but how do you know he's not a guy who's a great coordinator, not a great head coach?
Well, but a lot of times guys get second chances.
Yeah, I mean, Raheem Morris just did. Well,
he never did. And
not yet, anyway.
Well, I mean, I think that's been one of the good fortunes for the Kansas City Chiefs is that Steve Spagnuolo's never gotten hired anywhere else. I do. Quickly, John, before we get to Bogusch. John, hello.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Listen, I just wanted to talk about, well, there was a couple of things. One, I don't understand, are wide receivers coming out of college, a lot of them taking immaturity 101? Because,
it's a heck of a course. I taught it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have Pickett in Pittsburgh, so what Zay Flowers did yesterday, it just doesn't add up. I don't understand I don't know if it's the ego thing or whatever. But the other thing I wanted to say real quickly was about, once again, what you saw yesterday in that Chiefs game was how to defend Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore offense, and that's a 101. That was done by Vrabel and the Titans.
Yeah.
And basically you take the defensive ends, they stay wide, they don't let him escape outside. Now, naturally, he's a great athlete. It's going to happen a few times. But you do that, you keep your defensive backs in the middle of the field because his percentage of completions goes way down when he throws to the sidelines. And, Maggie, you should know this because the interception he threw in the end zone almost mirrored the one he threw in Buffalo about 3 years ago. So, I mean, it's just gone on. It's the same recipe that they've all been using.
Yeah.
So, I mean, until he breaks the ice and finally gets into the Super Bowl, it's going to be – that's how you're going to defend Lamar Jackson.
John, it's a good assessment, Dari. Thank you so much. I mean, yes, that's been one criticism of Lamar. Throwing outside the numbers, if you will, has never been a big part of his game.
Yeah, he's got to let it rip more. Lamar's holding on to the ball way too long. The whole second half of the season, he's like, forget it, no one can hurt me. I'm just going to wait till there's a big play. I think Kansas City looked at the tape and knew that and laid back a little bit. That's the key. You can't get over anxious. You can't run past him. That guy's exactly right. The Houston Texans did everything possible wrong. It's as if they'd never seen Lamar Jackson play a football game. And so I'm not taking anything away, but what Spagnuolo did was hardly revolutionary. It's not like he had some exotic blitz scheme that screwed him up. He just did not let Lamar kill him.
Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Yo.
And we go right back to what we were just discussing. Was yesterday the best chance at the Super Bowl for the Lions? Amon-Ra St. Brown with Pearl. He does think they'll be back.
I think we have a lot of good players in this, on this team, the right coaches, the right everything to be back here next year. Obviously, it's going to be tough. Probably be tougher, next year than it was this year. But we feel like, we got the guys.
The Lions remain the only franchise that has been alive for the entire Super Bowl era without actually making the Super Bowl, despite a 24-7 halftime lead yesterday. Then the turnovers, the mistakes, and the bad fourth-down gambles began. The Niners taking full advantage, winning 34-31, the fourth rally of 17 points or more in conference title game history. And
see, this is why sports is so brutal. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Did anyone think for a moment Fox go back to the Fan Fest happening at Ford Field? So they had the Fan Fest, and they're showing them the first half, and the place is totally packed, and they're waving the towels and everything. They did not have the stones to give us what did the Fan Fest look like.
There's probably a riot going on.
I was like, would there just be people just punching each other in the stand? Yeah, what is crying?
Brawl. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, it's just like the Royal Rumble. It's like, and now we go back to Detroit. It's like someone just like drove a car onto the field. It's just something's on fire in the end zone.
So now we get Niners Chiefs again in the Super Bowl. Their last meeting was the first in this mini dynasty for KC. A defense-first 17-10 win in Baltimore yesterday. D tackle Chris Jones giving all the credit to the aforementioned Spags.
What he's been able to do with this defense from last year to this year, and how we was able to overcome a lot of humps, how we was able to force a lot of guys to grow.
The Ravens were 6-0 this season against teams 3 or more games over 500. They were winning those games by 26 points on average, but no such dominance yesterday. Lamar Jackson now owns a 2-4 postseason record with 4 touchdown passes and 8 turnovers. He fumbled yesterday, and there was that pick in the end zone in the second half.
I see both of them trailing him, and I didn't want to throw it all out the end zone. I just tried to let him turn around and make a play. I thought it was going to be PI, but, it is what it is. The safety made a great play and made an interception.
I thought it was PI, too. The Ravens moving forward quickly. D coordinator Mike McDonald He's reportedly interviewing for a second time with the Commanders today.
We thinking
Ownership.
about that job minute by minute.
Ownership will be involved this
What?
time. McDonald also on the Seahawks list. You good?
But I saw a hot take on the coaching front yesterday.
What?
A coach for the Lions decided not to kick field goals, and somebody on Twitter said they should fire him immediately and hire Bill Belichick.
Is that person sitting in this room?
That person is right over there. His name is Pete Bellotti.
That's right.
Bellotti thinks that Dan Campbell needs to be fired.
You try to fire him.
That's going to
You
happen.
try to get Belichick in the building in the middle of the game.
He's not losing that game yesterday.
Well, the funny part is there's just one logistical hurdle besides the fact that Dan Campbell's basically a god in Detroit, or was until yesterday. You can't bring Matt Patricia back in that building.
Well, you can figure that out.
Great point.
I mean, you can figure that out. I mean,
they're not conjoined twins.
There's other defensive
I think the
coordinators out
greatest
there.
fear.
I think that honestly,
Belichick can go by himself.
No, but Maggie's thinking like NFL owners. I think Belichick went in and said, "I'm bringing McDaniels and Patricia," and everyone's like, "We're good."
Yeah, pass. Hard pass.
Yeah, I think Patricia and McDaniels and maybe Joe Judge sunk Belichick's chances of getting a job.
Well, let's be honest, though. This is how crazy it is that Belichick is not going to be coaching in the NFL next year. Quick aside is that Josh McDaniels has had more head coaching offers since the year 2000 than Bill Belichick. Let that sink in, America. Something is wrong.
Wow. Sunk in.
All right, now let it sink in more. And we'll just sit in silence.
Hold.
Sinking.
Wow.
Sinking.
We should just all be quiet
Wait,
until the end of the
do you
show.
count like the Colts thing?
Yeah, I do.
Well, but for up until for 3 days ago, Belichick didn't need offers because he was winning Super
We're all
Bowls
aware
with the
of that,
Patriots.
I know, but still, who's hiring? 3 different people have actually hired Josh McDaniels as a head coach, and Bill Belichick can't get a sniff.
Well, but McDaniel's not getting a job right now.
But just let it sink in.
No, I refuse. There's a flaw in the logic. NBA.
I don't think.
Sink, damn it.
I think Maggie was making a point there that I understand.
You will let it sink.
I still don't get it. I'm going to sink. NBA last night.
The show is sinking.
The Bulls snapped a 2-game skid, 104-96 in Portland. The Hawks topped the Raptors 126-125 on a Sadiq Bey dunk with 1.1 seconds left. And the Suns lost in Orlando 113-98 despite 44 points from Devin Booker. Late night college hoops. Men's number 25, New Mexico, took care of Nevada 89-55. Jamal Mashburn Jr. scoring 14 in that one. Guys,
wait,
back
what?
to you.
Who? Hate that.
Thank you for our daily making you feel old.
Yeah. Actually,
update.
Jamal Mashburn played a long time ago, so that one doesn't make me feel as bad.
Yeah, I guess he was playing in the 90s.
Yeah, it was 90. What was the Leitner shot? That was.
I'm sorry?
The Leitner shot was against Jamal Mashburn, right? That was 93. So that's okay.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Yeah. That's we've had much worse to make us feel older.
He's also playing for Richard Pitino, I believe, at New Mexico. So you have Pitino's son coaching Mash's kid.
That's okay. That's not killing me.
Yeah.
There's a lot worse.
There's worse. Yeah.
The Asante Samuel Juniors and Antoine Winfield Juniors of the world.
Yeah.
That was a lot closer.
Speaking of, did you guys see Mahomes' dad was tailgating?
Yeah. Oh, I saw him with a victory cigar. What did he do in the tailgate?
No, he was just like hanging with the Ravens fans and tailgating. And someone tweeted, "Anywhere but the suite."
Yeah. Didn't he say, "I don't want to sit with Taylor" before the game? I think he actually said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he doesn't want part of that.
Good
hype.
for him.
But I also think he's always been pre-Taylor. He's always been separate.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't know if that's a family thing or whatnot, but like he's never been next to Brittany in the booth or anything like that. Like he's always on his own.
Smart guy.
One time Dan Patrick show, we had Mahomes on the show, and his mom was traveling with Patrick. So maybe because they're divorced, maybe the mom stays closer and
maybe
keeps some distance. I don't know.
He was such a solid reliever. He was very good. I miss Pat Mahomes. Let's just sign him now.
Could sign him from the tailgate.
That's right.
Only Pete picks the older Pat Mahomes as his favorite Mahomes.
He had a great 2000. Come on.
His son, never heard of him.
Good QB.
Yeah, his son
Terrible
might win
cutter.
Super Bowls, but he's not going to get you through the 7th inning.
A little arrogant, but
I get that. The value of a middle reliever, huge.
Oh. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes is not getting the ball to Aaron Heilman at a big spot, but his dad would.
That's right. And he do it very well, too.
The Pat Mahomes Senior Fan Club. Lottie card carrying member.
I'll lead it. Anyone want to join? Come on board.
The better Mahomes.
Right.
You're going to put that poll up, Ryan?
Who's better, Pat Mahomes or Pat Mahomes?
This feels like Maggie's take from last week about Barkley and the Lions. If you didn't like Patrick Mahomes Sr., you can't love his kid as the quarterback. Nope.
If you weren't there for Pat Mahomes Sr. striking out the Miami Marlins, I don't think they were Miami then.
Wait, by the way, is Charles Barkley going to stick up for Dan Campbell on Tuesday night?
Thank you. This is such a... I bet we know the answer. He's probably going to say, you knucklehead.
You knucklehead. I bet on you.
Meanwhile, I was watching very closely to see the roster report over the weekend. Zach Ertz never did get elevated.
I forgot about that.
To the roster.
Interesting.
But Tyson Alualu did. But it turns out he's actually been on the practice squad since like December. And they just keep elevating him and taking him down.
So I guess when EJ comes back, that's a week of no complaints for him and Pete, right?
I think it's, which is going to be tough for the book. Velati's book, What's the Matter with You People?
And
the
they
sequel,
learned.
I hate everybody.
They learned. They saw the outcry and they adjusted. They understood that they couldn't do that.
They saw the outcry.
You could go. You can change your thoughts. That's
No.
Nice.
You guys ever hear Bilatti's TED Talk? It makes no sense. That's a good one.
It's a fourth book.
From the people that made Leave Me Alone, it comes Nothing Makes Sense.
That's a tape. That's a book on tape.
It's a series
I
of
like the
tapes.
one, What Are They Doing? That was good too.
Followed by What Are You Doing?
Honestly, we're sitting on $1 million idea here.
Get Off All the Lawns by Pete Bellotti.
America's Sports Dad, Pete Bellotti.
Volume 1, 2, and 3.
The postscript is just another thing.
And we're just gonna let it go that he's like, man, that Patrick Mahomes Sr., man, he was good.
That's a chapter.
That'll be another book. I'll do his biography.
He was so good.
Why Patrick Mahomes Sr. is the true hero.
The
of
true
family.
goat.
How was it like being in a bullpen with John Franco and Armando Benitez?
The oral history. Just stories. That's all. All right. Thank you, Bogush. 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, we've got the quick and early thoughts on the Super Bowl matchup, Chiefs and 49ers. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We have a million ways to dissect the Super Bowl matchup over the next 2 weeks. And Perloff and I will be in Las Vegas starting Monday. But quickly, so San Francisco opens as a small favorite. I believe it opened at 2.5.
Yep.
It's already being bet down to 1. So this is essentially going to be a pick'em, or maybe Chiefs even become the favorites. What do you think of the 49ers opening as a slight favorite?
I thought it was a joke. I did not understand. I mean, obviously Vegas has a lot of science to this, but 2.5 point favorites against Patrick Mahomes. So we're going to be, our season picks comes down at the Super Bowl once again this year.
Yep.
I don't know what we're allowed to pick, but how can you, with the season riding on it, how can you bet against Patrick Mahomes? I don't need to see any other breakdown. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Also, an underdog for the third week in a row, an underdog in Buffalo, underdog in Baltimore. And by the way, after we got off the air on Friday, the money kept coming in on Baltimore. I mean, that spread got pushed up, started at 3 or 3.5, and got pushed up to 4.5. And then Patrick Mahomes would be technically an underdog in the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, what's the record now? Like 9-1-1 or something ridiculous as an underdog. Although, again, like you said, I don't think he remains an underdog because if it already moved 1.5 points, I thought the Joe Tooney injury, the guard for the Chiefs being hurt, would have an impact on the game. It's as if it never happened.
Pacheco was running amazing.
Yeah.
You're right. I was looking for that early on. It's like, no, the line is really getting off their block. I thought they were fine. The one that stood out to me is the over-under at 47.5. My first gut instinct was like, bet the under on that.
Yeah, because the Chiefs have been going under like crazy. That being said, do you really want to bet the under on the Super Bowl? Do you hate life? I mean, what? Of course you have to bet the over on the Super Bowl.
Well, you
throw logic to the side. Yeah, but wait. Your logic says the Chiefs are going under, but the Niners have been going over like crazy because all of a sudden their defense isn't good.
Well, they didn't go over in the Green Bay game, but that obviously had weather because of it.
Okay, right.
And then the Chiefs, that that game was massively under yesterday between the Chiefs and Baltimore. I know because those are two bets that I lost.
Yep.
You're right. This again comes down to you and me betting against each other in the Super Bowl because I got to get our records, but I'm like 2 games under 500, I believe.
I think you're 1 game under 500.
And I'm 1 and 2.
I'm 1 game over 500.
Is that
I can't do the math, but we're 2 games apart. I did that math. I think I did. I have trouble with that. I mean, we're good at a lot of things. Math is not one of them.
You were 31 and 29 coming into the weekend.
So I'm 32 and 31.
Okay.
I went 1 and 2 as well.
And I was 29 and 31. So I'm now 30 and 33.
So, okay, yeah, except we're going head to head.
I know.
So this should come down to this game. But were you like me where you saw the spread and Mahomes' face is the first thing that popped into your head?
Yeah, and it should be everybody's. Because here's the thing, though, about the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game. They didn't score in the second half. Like, this was an interesting game because it's being lauded as a Mahomes game, but let's be fair, they really couldn't move the ball, and they were playing so conservatively in the second half. I thought it was a little alarming, quite frankly. I thought, when they get the ball back with 6.5 minutes left to go, I would imagine, thought about trying to salt that game away on offense, but they didn't even attempt to do anything like that.
Well, one time they drove down and got a bunch of penalties that knocked them out of field goal range.
But they got penalties on that drive to help them get up the field. They got 2 15-yard penalties
you're
on
right.
that drive.
They did have a lot. There were a lot of personal fouls. I just think they knew they had the game under control, and there wasn't a single moment where I thought Mahomes was going to throw an interception. And I picked the Ravens, so I was hoping he would, but I realized very early on that he had total control of the game. Where Lamar was a little shaky. He had a fumble early, threw the pick.
He also had one of the great touchdown throws. I mean, he did everything on the first touchdown.
Who's more likely to throw a pick in the Super Bowl, Purdy or Mahomes?
I would have to say Purdy.
Purdy!
Right? But who knows? All right, we got a lot of time to dissect that. Thank you to Ryan Botcher. Thank you to Pete Bellotti, author of the book, How Dare You? The Pete Bellotti story. Thank you to Andrew Bogish and Andrew Kaplan, the Weedos, the coffee drinkers, everybody in my favorite city, San Francisco.
Yeah. How dare you?